Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Conversations in Pop Culture, and we are back in the saddle once again for another season. And before I introduce my guest, I just want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by my friend Preston Poulter, who does Palace of the Golden Princess, which offers a fun, sexy romp through a fantasy RPG setting run by women. Issue 3 launches soon on Kickstarter, and he's actually doing a really cool offer where if you go to his website, pocketjackcomics.com, and sign up for his email list, he will send you the first issue for free. So if you want to get, a nice thing and see if you want to back the campaign, that's one way how to do it. But enough about that, because I have with me comic creator Chris Mad. So welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. How are you?
I am absolutely ecstatic. I have no complaints. I cannot be upset in my life. It's going well as it can go, I believe. And obviously I have you on, and I know a bunch of your work. And you got a lot of stuff going on, but I do want to kind of talk a little bit about your background, because you've done a bunch of stuff in art, from my understanding. You've done some stuff outside of comics, some graphic design. And so I kind of just want everybody to know who you are exactly, briefly, before we get into some of the comic stuff.
All right. Well, before the comic stuff, I wasn't into comics. I got into comics in 2015, but before that, I was in music. I worked for sign shops. What else I had a woodworking company, but comics was something I read, collected, and I didn't get started into that until I was like 20 years old. Walked into a comic shop, was like, hot damn. Pulled down a Batman, and I was hooked.
Yeah, so let's actually talk a little bit about this, because obviously, I mean, you've done a bunch of stuff before comics, and you've been involved in a bunch of stuff around comics, and obviously, I think you were self-taught as well, which is cool. In which you didn't go to the Kubrick school, you didn't do any of that, and so it's really interesting because you've done stuff for toys, you've done stuff for graphic designs, and so what is that like? Because you're extremely versatile, and that's what I think is so interesting about you. But I don't know how many people really talk about that with you.
No, not too many. Yeah, I'm self-taught, so I guess it makes it easier to be versatile because you don't have any guidelines to tell you where you're going wrong or what you can't do. It was the same thing with the woodworking and starting a woodworking company. My old guitar player was great at doing cabinetry and woodworking, and so we decided to buy a machine. And I would program the machine to it would carve logos, paintings. I could program it to do whatever artwork, but that was all done just through depths, dimensions, grayscales. It wasn't any of my artwork. It wasn't, even with the sign stuff. That's lettering and that kind of crap. That's fun, but once I decided to give up drinking and I had time on my hands, I was like, I always liked, when I was a kid, I always doodled through school. You draw instead of listening to the teacher. So I just started practicing like 18 hours a day and just, watching whatever videos. But it was more, I remember I watched a couple of videos, but it was Jim Lee and Greg Capullo both said draw from life. They made a strong enough point that's where I figured that's where you learn from. Like, that's the best place. If you're gonna draw a corner, just look up into the look out, open your window, look outside. It's all right there. You don't need videos or teachers necessarily if you have the basics down.
So let's actually talk a little bit about that, because to me, obviously doing the woodworking stuff and depth control and even the sign stuff, which is fonts and lettering, it doesn't seem, I mean, obviously there's creativity there, but it almost seems that it's controlled creativity. And then it almost seems like you're going to get to a point, maybe some people don't, but you need to create something more, and that you kind of killed the uncreative in you. And so what was that like? Because that's what it seems like. And then you jumped to comics. I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense what I just said, but
No. It makes a lot of sense. And I was going to say, you're saying it's either going to kill the creativity in you, like with the sign stuff and the lettering, because you're working with people that have no idea. They want just a cool look. And then you say the word font, and they say, let me see all the fonts. And now you're scrolling with these fuckers for an hour. Oh, do I like this one? Do I like that one? Do I like, oh, and then they go online and look, oh, I found this nice font. And you're going, I should have just shown you the 3 fucking fonts that I knew just people read when they're driving at 50 miles an hour going, there goes the sign. Oh, what a great. Oh, Christ. Or you're going to kill the people if you're not killing the creativity. But, and how that translated into comic books was the manager of the sign shop that I got a job at. My mother actually got me the job. She needed some lettering painted on her awnings, and they were doing the lettering. And she said, oh, my son could probably do it for you. I don't know why she didn't just ask me herself, but that's how I got that. And the manager of that job, who is still my best friend, this is going back to when I was 19, he collected comics. So I told him I had stopped into a comic shop. The next thing you knew, every paycheck, every Friday, we'd go and cash our checks, and we were off to the comic book store. That was clockwork, and that's where it started.
So now to even jump from there, how did you go from being, I guess, a comic fan to then getting into the industry? Because that's also interesting, because I haven't produced a book. Obviously, I'm a podcast. I speak to a lot of comic creators, but I don't know if I'm ever going to make that jump from being a collector, a reseller, to being a producer of a book. And I think it's a very interesting jump. So how did that happen?
Well, the collecting aspect, I mean, I just love to read them. I love the artwork. The artwork was, I mean, that was amazing. So I started collecting at the end of the 80s and stuff. So you had all the first Jim Lee stuff and Silvestri and all that. And that just made me think, oh, because I like drawing skulls or reproducing album covers, like Iron Maiden, stuff like that. It wasn't comic book related. And then that opened up that avenue. And I applied to the Kubrick School back when I first saw that stuff, and I didn't get accepted. They didn't have room. I wasn't whatever, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't good enough, basically. And I just went on. I was like, okay, music was my thing anyhow. I wanted to be a rock star, God damn it. Drawing's too much like work.
So then obviously, I mean, you come into comics. Obviously, you're collecting, you're reading this stuff, and then I think you said, what was it, 2015? You came in to the industry of actually starting to work in comics. And so, what was the impetus for that? Because going from the 80s, and then what was that?
All that. So, like I said, in 2014, I gave up drinking, and when I gave up drinking, they said, go to AA every day for 90 days. Because they said it takes 90 days to break a bad habit. So if you're not drinking, but I also needed to find something AA wasn't doing it for me. They kept saying, you got to find your higher power, find your higher power. And I said, I finally said, if I have a higher power, it would be something like Batman. And that's when I went home. I stopped going to AA. I grabbed some paper and just started drawing. 2015, I started posting some artwork, and someone said, oh, could you do a drawing for me? And it started out with small commissions and things like that. I wasn't even thinking comic books and sequential art and perspective and all that nonsense. That came, I kind of said to my daughter at the time, I was on a layoff. I said, I'm just going to try and keep selling the artwork and see if this can become sustainable. Because I had some money in the bank. I had enough for the rent for a few months. And it just kind of, thank God for the internet, because had I, without that, it would have just been, the access that you have to people and people have to you just makes it so much easier to make that jump.
Yeah, let's actually talk about that, because obviously there was a few things that I got from that where you had some money in the bank, which probably alleviated some pressure that you weren't going to be starving the next day or evicted the next day. And then obviously the internet was out there, and things like Instagram and Facebook was there, and you can just post it. And what was that like to really get that instant feedback? Because going back to early 2000s, the internet was really in its infancy in a lot of ways, and it was a lot harder to do anything being discovered, where you had to be discovered more traditional. And so what was
Well,
it like
well, this
to
is still 2015. That's not that long ago. And I was more, I guess I wasn't too worried or scared or anything like that. I was nervous about getting that instant feedback, and how am I going to take criticism? And if I look at my first posts to what I'm posting today, I'd be horrified. What the fuck was I thinking? Holy Christ, this eye's up here, this eye's down here. My God. I don't know what the hell this anatomy was that I thought I knew, but there was nothing going on there.
so what is that like? Because I am appalled by my first interview that I've ever done, and that was almost 10 years ago. And every once in a while I listen to it, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? Who in their right mind gave me a microphone? And then who in their right mind gave me another interview, and a third one, and a fourth one? And the first four were very interesting. And so very interesting people. And three of them are kind of famous. So I'm like, how the fuck did they even let me anywhere near them? And it wasn't until my 50th episode that I started feeling anywhere comfortable. And that was when I started to suck. So that's how that worked.
You
And
got
those 50 were
complacent.
not that bad.
All right. I got this down. You can kick back a little.
So what is that like, though, that people stuck with you and they were there with you, and that I don't want to say we're tolerating, but they were rooting for you, I think is the good way to put it, and wanted you to continue, because that is a very complicated thing, I feel, and not everybody gets that.
It's definitely it's a good, it's definitely a good feeling. I was going to say, had I tried to do this when I was in my 20s, when I initially applied at the Kubrick School, that kind of stuff, I don't know if I would have been able to handle that same criticism, the same deadlines, the same. Not that I'm great with that right now. Life just fucks you, bends you over every chance it gets. Christ, how can you get anything done? Every time you wake up, it's like, yeah, I want to you. But you know what I'm saying. But I wouldn't have been able to take that kind of criticism, I don't think. And going back to saying, what's it like? I still look like something I did yesterday. I go, man, it's fucked up. I find the flaws. You only see your flaws. So hopefully that's also what helps you keep going. The positive feedback, the positive critiques. The criticisms never help. The critiques do. Hey, this looks off, or I appreciate when people will message me. I saw this post, but if you did this, or I find a lot of value in that.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because somebody says, dude, that interview sucked. That's not helpful. But somebody says, hey, I really wish you asked them about this. That in an interview is so much more helpful, especially even after they know that the interview's been out for 6 months. Like, oh man, I really wish you asked them about this or that, because it doesn't help me in that interview, but it gives me an idea that what my audience wants and what fans want to know. And also,
Sure.
sometimes somebody says, "Oh, that was awesome, this piece in that interview." And then I say, "Cool, let me cut that up into a micro piece of content." And so it's very interesting when it also is who it's coming from. Somebody that I don't know or somebody who is a direct competitor to me is critiquing or not criticizing me, saying, "Dude, you suck." That's a little bit different than somebody who is, it wants me to succeed. I don't know if that makes
Yes.
sense.
No. I was gonna say, like, when I'll do sometimes if I do a post and you'll get that instant response. Hey, oh, this is great. This is a great piece. Or, oh, uh, I appreciate when people would message me in those instances instead of putting it in the post. While it's right there, pointing out, oh, this sucks. Look how whether it is a worthy, a what's the word I'm looking for?
Fair point.
Yes. It's they're saying something of value. It's just they're not saying it the right way. Like I said, they're criticizing, not critiquing, and I don't find that helpful, especially when it feels like it's live. Imagine it's almost like a heckle.
And also, I would imagine that it's done already. So if a piece is done and it's on a Kickstarter and or even if it's 6 months old, it's like, I can't fix a problem in an interview that is 6 months old. And what do you want me
Yeah,
to do about it? Like, I understand that somebody, but then people are like, "Yo, sometimes people just want to interact with me." And I like interacting too. But again, it depends how it is and what's being
yeah. There's a
where.
way to interact where you're going to get that positive. The interaction is going to be help the interview, the post, well, whatever it is. It broadens it that much more.
But yeah, no, but I do want to slightly change gears, in which I want to talk about something that is very cool about your art. And I know you've done some sequential work, which is cool. And I know you're really known for your covers, and we're going to talk about some of those. And there's a few we're going to talk about. And yes, I'm taking my shot here. Soon enough, soon enough. And believe me, people get in my crosshairs. So many jokes, so little time. But I do want to talk about some of your sequentials, and I have pictures. So this
Uh-oh.
is some of your early stuff, I think.
Oh God, yes.
This is some
What
trippy shit, bro. Like
was it?
trippy. And like, I mean,
The
and this
Angel Wars. Oh my God. Holy.
it's something. I mean that right there is pretty trippy. I mean, I thought angels were supposed to be peaceful, magnificent, loving, majestic.
Ah. The writer Bob Garr. It was supposed to be a 9-issue story where they were this rogue faction of angels had to go through the 9 levels of hell so they could get the apocalypse started. And yeah, we only got through the first episode, and the writer changed gears. He had a few different projects going on at the time, and yeah, just as far as the art's concerned, and how looking at it now, I'm glad.
It's something else. I mean, it's a gory, trippy book, and what I've seen of it, it's gory, trippy. I don't know anything about the book. I've looked at quite a few pages, and I'm like, this looks out there. Like this looks out there. Like I'm not even trying to criticize. It just says I have to stop and I have to stare at it. I have to be like, what the fuck's going on here? Because this is something that's definitely in left field.
You know what, I don't know if I've actually read the book. I've read the script. I've seen. I don't know if I've actually read it through, like, page by page. I'm not sure that's on my to-do list at the moment.
It's interesting because it really raises an interesting point, because I know you've done some sequential work beyond this as well, and I believe, and I might be the minority here, but I believe that if you're in comics, you should do everything at least once. So I think every writer should at least draw a page. Whether you draw a page good, bad, or indifferent, I don't care. But I think it's very important that you know how everything is made. So
Sure.
I think, you should know how to ink something. You should know how to color something. You should do lettering. You should edit. And I think it changes the way you produce everything in comics, even if you're a cover artist and that's all you want to do. I think it is extremely important that you know how everything gets done and that you at least try. This way you understand what your artist is doing, you understand what your writer is doing, you understand what your cover artist is doing, because I think it is a problem in comics right now heavily, and I'm very curious how you feel about that, because I think it does change the way you work, knowing how you do things and that you've done almost everything in comics.
What do you think is the problem in comics? Which part?
Oh,
The
I
the
think the
lack of
I mean, there's a lot of problems. Obviously, cash flow is a different business problem completely.
yes.
That's self-explanatory.
Exactly.
Also, so social media is a problem in comics as well, both good and bad. Where sometimes people should shut up, and sometimes
Cash flow is a problem for the grocery stores too.
that is true. That is true as well.
It's a problem across the board. But
But I limited the problem. But I think a lot of problems sometimes happens in comics is that somebody who's a cover artist might not know what it means to actually write a comic. And I think not understanding what goes into every component is complicated, and then even asking. So I think if you're a writer and you've never drawn something and you're asking your artist to do something and you don't really know how long it's going to take, because drawing a bunch of panels can be difficult. And then all of a sudden you have a crazy scene that requires 50 panels on 2 pages. Like, that's a problem in a story wise,
sure.
even pacing. And I think if a writer understood and drew a page, they'd be like, oh man, I really get why this artist is taking a while, or why this artist is annoyed at me, because this is tedious and it's killing me. And maybe I want to change my background a little bit so that my artist doesn't kill himself. And I think that's part of the problem, is that creates issues with expenses in books. It creates pissed off artists. It creates burnout. And that's what I think.
Sure. But it's also up to the up to the artist to be able to take a writer's reasonable requests, and they can be absurd things, and say, okay, how am I? It's a challenge of both sides. It's why you want to keep doing it, to challenge yourself. If every time it was easy, it would get bored. It would become, then it's just a hobby. Oh, okay, I can do that, and you move on to something that's more challenging.
That is a fair counterpoint. That is a fair counterpoint. We will not be playing joust today. That's an old game. Yeah, I could see that counterpoint. I guess my premise is that I'm a strong believer that you should know how the sausage is made, and I just think it's so important, because I am a strong believer that you should never ask somebody to do something in your business that you wouldn't do yourself.
Sure,
And I think it is, if you're not willing to sit there and draw 50,000 trees in your background in your comic book, maybe you shouldn't ask your writer to do it either, or your artist to do it. And maybe it is, you should think about it on that. And I think that creates problems sometimes.
Now we're going to go. Here's the problem with that point too, is then you have the writers that you don't just look at one artist. Maybe this is the artist that conveys certain aspects of key elements of your work just right, but you wish they would do, because there are 100 other artists out there that know how to draw 100 trees in a background without having to draw every limb, being able to imply those bushy tops, or again, it's being able to being able to know everything is almost being able to cherry pick.
That is
I
true.
want
That is true.
I want the best of all those elements, which
But I mean, technically, but this is where this gets interesting. So in manga, right, one of the things that sometimes you'll have an assistant do the background, and so that's where I think this gets interesting. Where if you want that extensive background with 50,000 trees, beautifully done, and this is where I think this gets interesting. Where understanding how the sausage is made, because maybe you want to go hire an artist to do your backgrounds and you want somebody to
well,
do the
but
foregrounds.
that's the same with comics. That's the same with comics. Going back years when Marvel had their bullpen, you'd have the top guys doing the cool poses, and then they'd hand it off to the ghost artist there, who's just doing the buildings, who's just doing the. So I mean, even with like Rob Liefeld, he would say he'd give it the inker the pages to ink, but don't ink the faces. He inks the faces. This way, he makes sure that it's done the way he. So I mean, but that's what it is with comics. You have to be able to be a team player, especially if you want to try and get the best out of it.
Well, that's hard in today's age.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Back then, there was a process. There was a I want to.
Clipper shop might be a word to use. Do you know what a clipper shop is?
What is that?
A clipper shop is a tattoo thing where one guy did the outline, the other guy did the shading, and then the third guy did the colors. And so it was back in the day where you had a guy who was the
production line.
Yeah. It's just that the tattoo.
Well, I mean, that's the same thing with comics. The penciler, the inker, the colorist. Hopefully you're getting the best of each one.
But even back out of the controversial jousting match we just had, which I might have lost. So
no, not at all. Not at all. I'm 100% on your side. If you're not willing to learn your craft, then why are you doing it?
Oh, I'm just making fun of myself a little bit here. Because if you can't make fun of yourself, then you really can't make fun of anybody else either.
Absolutely.
But even going further into doing sequentials, because obviously doing covers is different, and sometimes you get a credit and sometimes you don't. But when you do sequentials and you do the interiors, you most likely are going to be on the cover of that book. And so, what is that like for you? I mean, in the credits on it.
Oh,
meaning your name is on the cover of the book. Does that make sense? Like you're next to the writer, either on like the side or the top. That's what I mean.
I thought you meant you'd be doing the cover if you're doing the sequentials.
Oh no. That's what I mean is you get like a credit and like your name is sort of front and center. But because what is that like? Because obviously whether that's on Kickstarter or in a publishing deal or a publishing house or on a comic shelf, it's a very different experience than if you're just doing a cover for a book that may or may not be in a comic shop.
What's it like to see your name credited on there, you mean?
Yeah, and also just sort of, I guess, have the clout, because it's, I would imagine, very cool when you see something of yours published and that you are credited and it's very public that, hey, I worked on this book and I did the interiors for that book.
Absolutely. Oh no, it's a thrill and a half, especially your first few. It's a thrill for me. It's just a thrill to be doing any work. Of course, you always want to be credited, but I don't have the mentality of a brass ring. Like, I'm not looking at Marvel or DC as the end all be all. Even though I know, like, when I got into collecting and reading, it was Marvel, DC. Those were your options. You had Archie, you had Image, and Dark Horse started popping up. But now there's just so many options, and there are so many people out there that can, now you have the access to the whole world's worth of artists.
So let me ask you this, because I know people on Kickstarter, and I'm sure you know them too, that they want to be at Marvel and they want to work in Marvel. And I know people who want to work for DC. And then I know people say, look, I don't want to go anywhere near those two companies and I want to do my own thing because the indie market is really cool. And it's very much, it works now where I feel 15 years ago, that wasn't an option where it is today, where the internet has obviously done stuff. COVID has obviously changed the marketplace. And I'm curious how you feel because I don't think that Marvel and DC are what they used to be. I don't even think Image is what it used to be. And I think things are just massively more accessible for
Yeah,
anybody who wants to
absolutely.
do it. And so I'm very curious how you feel about this because I do think, though, that if you go to DC and you have a 4-year run on Batman, there is some, I guess, merit to that as well. And I guess, it's a very tricky, I guess.
Now, when I said that they weren't my brass ring, now if someone came to me with Batman,
The answer is
I
yes.
oh fuck yes, fuck yes. I mean, there are certain titles there's no way you're turning down because, like you said, I mean that is a like Batman is a brass ring. Spider Man, the company maybe not the title. Now, if you know, because you can get put onto some third tier Spider-Man or Spider-Man villain book that has 3 issues and gets canceled, which is cool because you did a Marvel book, but is that necessarily what I'm looking for anymore? No, because like you said, the accessibility for me to do my own thing or work for other people on maybe a higher profile project, whether I feel it's whether it's indie or not, um, or maybe it's just something I'm more interested in. But there are key titles that I would not say no to.
I mean, if DC came to me and said, "Do you want to write Teen Titans?" The answer is yes.
Oh yes, yes.
The answer is yes, and then I would go try to pay homage to the '80s. It'd be great. I wasn't born in the '80s, and I read the '80s Teen Titans, and it was awesome. It was awesome.
Right?
It's still awesome. It's still awesome.
Absolutely. Oh
Um,
man, do you still read weekly comics?
Not really.
Uh,
I,
I'll
I,
tell you what. The pandemic for me changed how the frequent. I guess I finally had all that time. Like there was a saturation of, well, there's nowhere to go. You just read, read, read. I was catching up on the books from my weekly pulls that were getting put off to the side because I was too busy. And then with the drawing and reading, and it was so saturating, the reading is kind of slacked off.
I'll be very honest. I maybe read 3 titles a month from previews. I'm reading Saga, and that's good.
Okay.
Because I've been reading that for years. And then I'll pick up like a 6-issue mini arc or something every once in a while. Or I'm a huge RWB fan, Ruby. And so
Okay.
anything Ruby crosses over with the Justice League or its own stuff, and it's got like a 7-parter, I'll read that and then I read Gun Honey. And that's about it. Like I have no desire to read anything else. And then I'll pick up something like Street Fighter, the swimsuit edition, or I'll pick up like a small arc here, or I'll pitch up like 6 issues of Archie or something. But like I don't read a lot, but I read a lot of graphic novels.
Got
So
it. There
I
you
have a Comixology subscription. I know a dirty word, guys. It's all right.
go.
But they have a lot of funky stuff on Comixology. The Black Dahlia, which is that case out in LA,
Yeah.
fascinating graphic novel.
Is it?
Fascinating. And so like that's where I'm at, is that I would much rather read a graphic novel, and I don't care when it came out. I'm like, cool. If it's Comixology is what, like $6 a month, I don't really care because I don't own it and I feel less pressure. And if it's a shitty book, I'll just drop it.
Yep. I've honestly I've been really considering that because, like you, I mean, I want to read the stories, but when I first started, I got into it. I mean, I love the stories, but I was also, wow, I'm collecting these now. So I got, 3 issues of this cover, and so those floppies, that collector's mentality of getting the actual first printed issue is still ingrained in me, and I've got to break that if I'm going to be able to have any goddamn room other than comic boxes everywhere.
It's a problem. There's a reason why, and obviously I run a business buying and selling a lot of books, so I have that collector's mentality, but also I've become a lot more selective, and I've become a lot more, I guess, specialized. And that's the reason why my previews used to be like $90 a month, and then now it's dropped down to being more like 25, and it's taken a long time to get there.
So you only get 2 books a month?
25 on Midtown is.
Oh, man, I might get 3. Yeah, I might get you 3.
No, it's even. I get more than that. I get maybe like 10.
I remember.
It's crazy because it's 50% off. If you order 3 months ahead, it's 50% off. So a book that's $5 is like $260. So it's not exactly 50% off, but it's like
5%. It makes it worth in that. But you're also buying that far ahead too.
But I'm also selective, and then there's also certain months where I have $15. That is all I'm spending because there's nothing I want to read. And so sometimes I'll have a $45 month, and then sometimes I'll have a $15 month. But on average, it's about $25-$30 a month. But it started off at 90, and it's gone down significantly. But also, like when Gun Honey, the first issue comes out of every Gun Honey series, I buy all 6 covers. So that's why that average is in, because I'm the collector in that. But Gun Honey's only a 4-issue miniseries. So I
do that with Sean Gordon Murphy. Like when his books come out, I get whatever cover it is, or any Capullo cover that's done.
It's just it's complicated, but like I agree. But like I'm at the point where I just want to read stories, and I don't want to own shit.
Yeah.
Because owning shit is complicated at this point. But I do want to talk about another book that you worked on some sequentials with, and this guy Chuck, he's got to go. He's got.
Oh, hot damn!
Chuck's he's got to go. I can't stand Chuck anymore. He's too much.
I agree. I'm right there with you.
I think we should send him to hell.
Chuck goes to hell.
Well, we'll keep Sean.
And Belial will be right there bending him over. Is that what it is? That would be a cover.
That's exactly what I think. And
I think that's a Kickstarter cover for sure. Chuck bent over on the cover. Ugh.
So what was that like? Because I like Travis. I think Travis does a good job with his Cthulhu books, and they do really well. And what is that like? Because that's a special book in a lot of ways. And it's a great concept. Cthulhu sells on Kickstarter. Obviously, Chuck worked on that book. I think your daughter also worked on that book with you. And that's cool too, because I don't know how many. I think there's only 1 or 2 other father and daughter teams in comics.
Yeah, and thank God, because she's she's my colorist right now. But she's also the one who kind of taught me how to digitally color. I asked her, we were both playing around. I said, I was willing to buy her classes, and she didn't want it. She just taught herself. So now, like, oh, how do you do this? What do you think if I have to color something? That's who I go to for tips.
So what is that like to have your daughter coloring stuff and obviously doing some art stuff and being readily available, and also when you don't want to color something, you have somebody in your household that can handle that?
No, I don't. It's not like that. No, that's not life. That's the dream. Yes. Oh, look at that in-house. Oh, hot damn, everything's right there.
I'm not saying you're not paying. I'm not saying that.
No, it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with money. It's the time. I know I can be a pain in the ass, so she'll say, "Oh, working with him is fucking annoying," because you don't want someone who's looking over your shoulder. You're going to use that color? Oh, I wasn't thinking that.
I'll be very honest. I completely get it. So I was thinking about becoming a lawyer. My father's a lawyer. And the one thing that I would never do is work for my father if I was a lawyer. And it's not because I don't think that I wouldn't be good at it. It's because I would rather have my relationship with my father than have a bigger problem in
Oh,
my.
absolutely. Yeah. No, you can't work. It's hard to work with family. And again, the money part is never an issue as far as that.
I was
It's
just saying you pay on time. That's all I was going with.
Oh no, there's no pay. All the money goes into one. All the comic money goes into one area. So, you know, whoever needs access, there it is. But
I was just trying
it's
to avoid labor laws here, but that's all right.
yeah.
I was trying to create plausible deniability, but that's all right too.
She's plenty old enough. There is no law against any of this. This isn't. She's not a child labor. She's in her 30s. So I get the fuck you and the
It's so
Um,
many things I could say. So many things I could say. And
but no,
then
it is great because like you said, I can, we can work off each other. If she has questions, the answer's right there. Um, if something isn't working, it does in that aspect of getting the final piece to where we want it makes it a lot easier. It's just getting to that point that can be frustrating.
I get it completely, and I can understand completely. And then obviously, I mean, I think you worked on No Heroine. I think is how
Yes,
it's
sir.
said. I know you worked on that, and then I know you've done some Naughty and Nice stuff. I still don't know who this artist is. All I know is that he really has an affinity for using cups as tracers. Um,
Oh, that guy, yeah. The templates.
yes,
This
yes,
is
the
this.
template.
Well, Steph doesn't need these anymore. He's that good. He's that good. His look like they're templates.
That was a fun interview with Steph that I did. That was a fun interview.
I love Steph.
Carrie Ann's good too. I like her too. She's great.
Oh, she is I love her more. We were just with them last weekend actually, but yeah, that was interesting because Steph did that cover. I was doing a local show here, and he used to live maybe 5 minutes away from me, and we had never met. And he just stopped in at the show, and he was talking to me, and we got each other's information online, and he just keeps pumping out work.
He's a
On
lot.
all because he doesn't like to put time into anything. This is what he told me. If it takes him longer than 40 minutes, he gets bored with it. So if he can't get it done within that timepiece, I wish I were like that. That would make things a lot. Well, they wouldn't look as good. In 40 minutes, I'd get like the sketch of an eye. Oh, I've got the framework. Oh, this looks like shit. All right, that's gone.
Oh man, this is giving me such a good idea for my Kickstarter. I should create a whole line of comics. 40 minutes or less is the cover.
There
You
you
get all
go.
these top artists to just do their cover in 40 minutes or less, and you make them record it, and then after it's done, they have to submit it, and that becomes the cover. Oh, it'd be great.
I've done some pretty decent pieces in 40 minutes, but then there's sometimes where the 40 minutes and you've barely gotten an idea. You're still scratching your head like,
No. You get like an hour for an idea. But you have 40
okay.
minutes to draw it. You have 40 minutes to draw it. You
All
have to
right, all right.
approve the stuff that it's going right on the Kickstarter.
You
And
get the
then
idea. Once the rough is approved, all right, we like this rough. That the concept is good.
no. It's going to
Start.
be raw. It's going to be straight raw. It's going to be
Oh,
live streamed. It's going to be totally on day one. And then that's going to be the cover. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And that's the whole point. It's supposed to be meta. That's the whole point. And I want to make Kickstarter fun again.
hot damn. All right. I hope Steph enjoys that.
No. Steph is a judge, and this is
Oh,
in this new reality show. 40 minutes
oh.
left. It's kind of like the
Steph is
pizza. We could get gambling involved too. Will your pizza come before the cover's done?
They don't do that anymore. That 40 minutes or less thing with the pizzas.
Oh, they don't have to be in on it. They're just
Oh,
the
okay. You're just
oh,
you're taking the over under there, huh?
very much so. Very much so. Don't worry. DraftKings is a sponsor, hopefully soon, of this show. Just absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Are you a casino guy?
I am a DraftKings guy.
Yeah.
Let's just say that when Philly and Boston played, I made a decent amount of money on all 7 of those games. And when Miami and Boston played, I made a little bit less money in those games, but still pretty happy. And then Denver just swept the Lakers, and it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Well, be glad that I am not a gambling kind of guy. I learned my lesson the first time I went to a casino. Because if I were a gambling kind of guy, every bet you made, if I had made that same bet, that team would have lost.
I'm not a casino guy. I don't touch casinos. I bet on DraftKings from my living room.
No, I can't bet, period. It's not limited to casinos. I'm saying that's where my lesson was learned. There in live, full color pain.
I understand. I understand. No. I know when to stop. I know when I won, and I know when to stop. And so I know when I'm ahead, I stop, and then you just don't touch it. You don't touch it. You don't touch it, and you move on. The itch is gone for 6-7 months, and then you get the itch again, and there you go. But I bet on things that I know, which are sports, preferably baseball and basketball. I do not know anything else.
I don't want to get itches from sports. I want to get itches from other things. And I don't want to get an itch at all, actually. I don't want to get a rash. I don't want to get a bump.
But anyway, I do want to jump out of all that and definitely not make you degenerate like me. Don't worry. There's only one degenerate in this interview. I promise.
Lied.
But I do want to talk about covers because you do a bunch of covers, and there's a bunch of stuff that we can talk about that are fascinating covers. And I think this is the best place to start.
I don't think I've done any masturbating covers. Oh yes, those are good ones.
These are good. I think you did all of these, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is this like? Because I don't know much about this series. I just know that these covers look pretty cool because I love the color against the black and white.
That's all Frank, the writer, Frank Gogol. He likes doing those layouts, and he said, "Oh, here's the idea I have for you." And he would just, he'd say, "All right, here's my idea." I would draw it out. He would say, "The background is going to be this." He knew the color schemes long in advance. So he always knew it was going to be black and white against a color. And the way I did it, he left up to me, and it worked out quite nicely, I think.
Yeah, because I like it because it's kind of cool, and it's that nice balance, I feel, where it's kind of pencil-y. You get the color, you get that other stuff, and I'll throw it up again so you can see it. And it's cool because it's just like, I haven't seen much like this before, and that's what I like about it a lot.
Yeah, it's simple enough, but interesting enough. The only one I'm not a fan of is the one that has the most background in it. With the 3 walking down the street there.
Yeah.
It's out of the set of them, it just feels a little more off.
I mean, I like the way they visually look, all of them, and I'm not one to say that one's better than the other. I mean, I do have a favorite. I actually really like that orange one a lot, which is number 2. I like that one a lot because I just like the juxtaposition. I also like the saturation of the orange, which I think is cool. I also like the fact that it's simple. So that's the one I like out of the most. But they're all great. I mean.
I like the red cover, personally.
So number 2.
Yeah.
The other
The,
number
the,
2.
the first, the first series, number 2. They had done that in a metal, a limited metal version, and that came out really nice. The way it reflects on that.
I do like metal. So how do you feel about that? Because you've done a bunch of stuff with that. Your books have had metals in them, and what is that like too when a campaign does a metal version of your cover?
Um, I guess I don't know. I'd like to do. I know a lot of artists do metal prints. I'd like to do a few of my own, um, just so I can understand how my artwork interprets on the metal. Because I've seen some that I didn't care for the way it looked on the metal because I wasn't utilizing the way the technology of the printer to its potential because I didn't know it was going to be metal beforehand, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's interesting. So let me ask you this. I mean, when you are booked for a cover, how much do you know what they're going to do with it? How much do people on Kickstarter tell you, hey, I'm thinking about making this a metal? Because I would imagine that if you have certain information, that's going to change the way you present something and do something
Sure.
versus, and also even the capabilities. Because if you know something's going to be metal, you might, and you know it's going to be metallic, you might know, hey, maybe I could add a few more negative spaces in here and
Well,
then
that's yeah, exactly. If you know in advance, then you can plan the coloring. Having lighter colors so that they reflect brighter because the darker colors you're basically just covering over the metal. You might get a metallic look, but you're not going to get that high intensity. Or if you knew in advance, you could do the blacks as in so that where the black is that comes through as metal. I've got all different ideas, and that comes from the after effect, the after the factor. Had I known these are things I would have done to make that look a little better or done something cool with this aspect. But yeah, sometimes sometimes they bring you in, oh, I got all these ideas and they want to tell you, run down this whole laundry list of stuff. And then sometimes it's just like, hey, can you do this? Sure. Here's the idea. Okay. And that's it.
and then to even jump into to another one, and this is fun too, and I like these people a lot. This right here,
Oh, yes. Mike
because
and Trish.
this is the embodiment of what I think is supposed to be a fun Kickstarter. I think the two of them, Mike and Trish, have created a fun Kickstarter, and I feel like they're doing comics because they want to do a comic. And I don't,
Yes.
and I hopefully I'm not misspeaking, but I don't think they're so concerned about making a living in comics as much as saying, hey, we want to do a comic and we want to have a good time doing it. Versus, there's a lot of people in comics who are trying to, I guess, the term is going to sound a weird term, level up versus having a really good time because this is a fun book.
Yes. I don't know their situation. I agree with you as far as, yeah, they've said we just want this to be a fun book. Obviously, everyone wants their project to be successful, and I'm sure the thought of, okay, this is going to be sustaining. But I think that's where that difference is when you're talking about, oh, you're doing it for fun and having just an enjoyable time doing it, to where you have to make sure it's now has a certain sustainability.
I'll use somebody who's not going to mind. I don't think he's going to mind either. Travis Gibb is
Okay.
trying to level up, and he views this as a business, and he's trying to evolve as a creator. And I think with everything he's doing with Orange Cone and pushing out content, and I think Mike and Trish say, hey, we just want to have a fun book and we want to have a good time doing this. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those. People are at different stages in their career. And
Absolutely.
that's what's cool about that book, though, is that when I say, hey, do you want to have a fun book? And there are people who are killing it, having a great time in their comic, making a lot of money doing it, but they embody that funness, that silliness, that kind of inner child is what I view. And that's what this book is, and that's what this cover is in a lot of ways too. And it's kind of cool when you see that, I feel, where somebody says, I just want to have a good time and I want to capture that memory in comics that people have.
Well, you saying Travis, and the difference there, you're right. They're definitely out for just fun. I don't know how Travis started, but he found that fan base. So he has a certain, now he has a certain, there are certain requirements, certain expectations that have to be met. But and he's doing it, and he's doing it.
Oh, he is. He's doing a great job.
In a and he's still having fun with it. That's the thing for him. He's still enjoying it.
I'll put it this way: if I want to chill out and open up a beer or do something else that may or may not be so kosher to say in the air, that's the book I'm reading. I'm not going to go read Cthulhu Invades Wonderland if I've had a stressful day on my job and I want to crack it open with a cold one.
You never know. You know, you get home after a long day, maybe a microdose, crack open Cthulhu. Hot damn.
I'll read Broke Down and Four Dead Bodies.
There you go.
because there are certain books that just put you in a great mood and an easy, vibed out. And this is supposed to be what fun comics are versus intensity that Cthulhu's taking over Wonderland. I'm not so interested after I got chewed at work to be like, well, it could be worse. Cthulhu is attacking. I mean, Cthulhu makes my job. I mean, whoever wants to write
two books that I want to read right now. They're both from the same creator. Plush and Vinyl. Do you know those books? They're from Image.
Who's the? Is that the same guy who did Plastic?
Yes.
Oh! Did you read Plastic? Did you read Plastic?
I read Plastic, and that's why I had to get Plush and Vinyl. They're the.
I didn't read Plush or Vinyl. I've read Plastic. I thought Plastic was great.
Oh, amazing!
Shoot, I can't think of his name. His name is slipping me.
Yes, me too. Shit. But if we were smart, we'd use that thing called the internet. We could pull it up right now. But I'm also feeling lazy, so fuck it.
So I mean, Plastic was great. I love Plastic. I reviewed the first issue of Plastic a long time ago, and I really enjoyed it. And then my mom read that article because I was new, and she's like, "What the hell are you reading?"
Shit, what that is? Was it Wagner?
Yes, it's Wagner.
Okay. I knew I'd remember it. But yes, I've been dying to read those other stories.
Because that's a different. I mean, that it's a great writer. He's a great writer.
Yes,
so many ways.
It's got that dark yet fun feel.
I think my favorite thing Image did was those like those trippy books where they had all like the black and white covers, and they were almost anthologies. They were like super Image anthologies, and they were in comic shops. And they had all these weird covers. So like the guy who did Extremity did a cover for them, and they're like black and white, and they're collectible, and they're like $10 a pop, and like they're ratioed out. Oh, it's so clever. And like you have Walking Dead 3000 in there. So Walking Dead as a cyberpunk.
Was that no. I was gonna say I remember that there was a bunch of books where they were all in black bags. You didn't know what you were getting.
There's been stuff like that from Image too. Walking Dead did that. That was cool.
Yeah, that's what it was. Walking Dead. I don't remember the books you're talking about.
Oh, they're great because you have Robert Kirkman writes one of them, and you have 2 or 3 other people who write them, and they're writing their stories, and it's like anthologies of just trippy Image stuff. So like you have Walking Dead 3000 as a cyberpunk. So it's like the zombies are like robots and zombies at the same time. You have like cyberpunk Rick Grimes in like AD 3000. And
was that like in a magazine type format?
Sort
was
of.
That like Image Plus or something like that?
It might have been like Image Plus, but like the books are like $10, and like they have all these weird covers, and they're all referencing stuff from like all these great artists. Like you have guy who does Extremity did like I think it's like Warren or something, and like it's just a trippy cover, and it's just awesome, awesome cover art, and it's all like
Oh yeah.
black and white cover art too. Oh, it's amazing. I was like in
I'll have to
Newberry,
go check that out at the shop there.
but I digress. I digress. Going even further into some other your covers too. I mean, obviously you've done the Jim Noble stuff. I must say, that is a very interesting garb she's in prison in. And I would happily go to prison with her. Is all I'm going to say. And from there on, I will plead the fifth.
Yeah, Jim has some fun ideas.
And some kinky ones.
Oh yeah.
So let me ask this question. Obviously, Totally Rad does a lot of cool books. They do a lot of stuff at cons. He does well on his Kickstarters, and he goes all out, balls to the wall. And what is that like? Because I don't know what is off limits with Jim and what he puts out there. And it must be very liberating to you that you can go do an idea like this, but you could take it relatively as far as you want.
I don't know what that's like, honestly. I haven't done enough of that. He asked me to do that one cover, and I didn't do a risque version. It was never even mentioned. I'm not opposed to it. I would love to do more, more pinup, more. It's just people don't think of me for that. I get more of the horror type looks.
So let's actually talk about that because I had Greg Bo Watson on. You know Greg Bo, right? You know his work, right?
I know the name. I'm trying to put the two together right now, but yes, I do know it.
Yeah. But there's a concept where you could be typecasted, and I feel that for a little while Greg Bo was typecasted. And what is that like? Because I think it's interesting when an artist gets typecasted, and I think it's interesting when an artist also gets the ability to not get typecasted or gets to break out and be like, that artist did that over there, and they did this over here too. And what is that like for you? Because if people know you for horror, and then obviously I just showed, and I'm about to show some other stuff from Dustin Burnell's company, Eternal Press, I think it is, or I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yes, Eternal.
Eternal, yes. So I'm going to show some of that in a second. But what is that like for you? Because you're kind of getting to take the car into second gear, or third gear, or fourth gear.
I don't know if I feel like I'm typecast yet. I still feel like I'm new enough, and if I'm typecast as a horror artist, or I know I do darker stuff. Even when I'm trying to do light stuff, it's never my intention for all the blood to come out. It just works its way in, or for that darkness or whatever that people.
Well, is it a tragedy? Oh no, that's not the joke. So many jokes I can make. So many jokes. So little time. But continue. Sorry. I was waiting.
No.
I deserve to be punished for that one.
Oh God! Oh my God! That guy was that was a commission piece. That Punisher. And that gentleman sent me a box of like 15 sketch covers. And there was a paperwork when I opened the box. There's paperwork there with each cover typed out what he wants, how he wants it, all that. And there was a very healthy check along with it. So I did a few of the covers. I mailed them to him, and he said do a couple more, and he wanted to get them graded. So I was like, okay. So I did a few more. And I reached out to him, and then I didn't hear anything. I reach out, I didn't hear anything. Let me do a little investigating. I hope he didn't get hurt or something. So I come to find out he was arrested over the like right after the shutdown, and no one was supposed to be. He got. I don't know if he knew what he was doing. I don't know the situation, but he met some underage person in a park.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah. So the way I see it, if he did that intentionally, then the money is a douchebag tax. If he didn't, man, that sucks. But from what I understand, this happened in upstate New York, so I have 10 years to figure that out. Minimum.
Oh my god, I have no response. I have no response. I am pleading the fifth. I am pleading the
Oh,
I have been silenced.
there are so many times. Like,
Comics
there's
is a
some.
weird industry, right?
It is, and you get asked a lot of strange requests, like commission requests. Are you willing to draw this or that? Like you said, there's a freedom, like with Jim Noble. Oh, you can draw, scantily clad women or pretty much whatever. And then you get some people that give you their idea, and you're like, fuck no, I never even considered, I never even had a dream of drawing something like that. No, I don't want to draw that for you.
I had Elias Chazoudis do a cover, and I like firefighters. I like sexy firefighter women. So he did a cover of one of my favorite books called Firefighter Sexy Samantha. So I wanted him to do it in Van Helsing. Now, I would never ask a artist to do something that I wouldn't be comfortable showing in front of my mom. So
Okay.
so there was no nudity. So her suspenders are covering her breasts. Obviously, you can see
Okay.
it. But he already did a cover like it. So I felt it was okay, where I wanted homage and paying tribute to that thing. But I didn't tell him how to do it. But
Yeah.
my whole thing was that I was like, I didn't, but I'm not gonna go ask some crazy position on an artist on that realm, because I just don't think that, if I wouldn't feel comfortable showing it to my girlfriend, my wife, or my mother, I probably should not ask somebody to draw it.
I'm sure you've heard of like Tim Vigil.
It's the name is not ringing.
Okay. Well, he did he's known for a book, Faust. Faust. Um, and in there, I mean, you've got demons, penetrating women, and there's a lot of stuff. And some of the requests I've seen, gotten, I think it's like even guys like that would be like, no. Ah.
But also for me, I understand an artist. So
Like
so
illegal stuff. Like if I draw this and they're not allowed to put this in a magazine. Why would you want me to draw that?
this is so interesting because for me, I want to be able to show my commission off on Instagram. Like I want to buy what I want to buy, and I am not that fucked up. I find this weird. Like, is
And
it?
there's the difference. I am not that fucked up, he said. Now take that and see how many degrees of fucked up are there. I'm sure there is a chart. Yeah, you've seen that online, the fuck around ratio to find out
Around to
ratio.
find out, right?
Yes, there's got to be a ratio for fucked up. And what and I'm sure it's different for men and women too. What causes that level of?
I'm just saying. I'm just saying that I also research who I want to commission from and how I want it. So if I know there's an artist who loves doing gender bend of characters and there's an artist who hates it, I'm not going to bring a commission to an artist who hates that genre, because the
Sure.
likelihood of like, let's say you said, look, I don't really like drawing Captain America as a woman, right? And I want that. You're probably not going to be the guy I'm going to go after on that. Just because, why would I want to make you draw something that you're not into? But if
Yeah.
somebody did, like Chazuz did that cover of Firefighter Sexy Samantha, he's the guy to go to for it because he did the cover already, and he's probably going to give a fuck to do something similar to that because it's his work. And so, like, and that's what I don't get is that I just think I mean I don't really get it, and like I'm like unless people just want to fuck around with artists, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely say no or oh I don't like to do that. I love drawing. You give me an idea, I love doing it. I just like I said, I started late in life, so drawing to me is as much of a chore and a job it is. It's a pleasure to be able to say that I can do it. So I'm not really I want to do any one specific thing. Fucking let me have it. Just make sure it's not too fucking out there. I want you to be able to show it to your mom too. God damn it. If I'm not comfortable in posting it, there's the difference.
That's just how I feel. I have a certain standard, and maybe somebody else has a different one, and that's fine.
Sure.
But like, I felt comfortable showing that book to my mom, and I felt comfortable showing other things to my mom. But then there's things that like I'm like, I'm not probably gonna show that to. I'm probably not gonna request something like that. Like
exactly.
So that's how I feel. But enough about that.
You don't want some guy. I mean, in my head, hey mom, look at this commission. I got the family dog Butch doing. Never mind. See, you don't rush home and tell your mom stuff like that.
And that's called the aristocrats. That is my favorite joke of all time. That is my favorite joke of all time. And the way Gilbert Gottfried does that joke is sick. It's sick, and God bless his soul. That joke is sick, and I love that joke. And that joke got me through some very, very complicated times. But I digress. I do want to talk about 3 more covers technically, and they're all from the same company. And obviously, this thing I think is sort of brand spanking new. I don't even know if it's out yet.
That has never been released.
That's black and white. I think it's the same, right?
Yeah, no, that never got published. I have no idea what happened.
I thought the Kickstarter is dropping next week.
From?
I mean, what book is this? I thought this was like Shadow something, right?
This, you know what? You're right. It has a very. There is a book.
Unless I'm mistaken, because I don't know everything.
No. That now that you say that, the book There Be Shadows does drop next week. Drops on Friday.
Yeah,
but that's not There Be Shadows. That is. Oh, what the hell is the name of that book? Something in the Shadows, or We Eat the Shadows, I believe.
I could be mistaken, and I could have conflated 2 of them.
No, that's. I didn't even. I completely forgot about that one. That Kickstarter never. I was that was like my first pinup girl that I had done, so I was kind of happy with that. I was hoping that it actually would do something. You know, boobs on a table help. Or so I'm told.
I don't know everything. Sometimes things get conflated.
When I was heavier, the boobs didn't help me, but I don't know.
And then obviously, I do want to talk about Dustin's company. Obviously, we got this book right here, Underland 2. I don't know as much about this one as I know about but what is this like? Because it's got that horror vibe to it.
Yeah,
Alice in Wonderland to it, and
yes, it's definitely an Alice in Wonderland based book. everything, that blue glow that's on the ground and all that, the jizz there. It's what it reminded me of. I don't know. Like, that's what powers everything in this Underland, apparently. I don't know the whole story.
So
It
right,
has
you
a
can say that. You can say that. It's fine.
as a
My Monday interview, after my Monday interview, you can say pretty much anything on my show.
like you were saying, as a cover artist, I don't consider myself a cover artist or a sequential artist. I mean, I'm working on sequentials right now for the follow up to the first series of No Heroine. But uh, with the covers, as much as I like them because I can turn them out a lot quicker, uh, you know so much less about what's going on. Sometimes I'm like, all right, well, what expressions should I be? You get so little information. It's just here's a single picture of a character. Do it
Let's
in this pose.
let's actually talk about that, because this could be a problem sometimes in comics. I feel is that, and I'm sure you've seen it, where somebody does a cover, whether it's in mainstream comics or Kickstarter or a combination of whatever, and the cover has nothing to do with the book. And sometimes it's a great cover and it's awesome, but there also gets a point where it's like, I don't want to say it's false advertising, but I don't think it's necessarily a good thing when sometimes you have a cover that has nothing to do with the book, or that you're introducing something on the cover that could be misleading. And also, you could be doing it, and if you don't know about the book or have any idea, I mean, that could be complicated, I feel, for an artist. And I think it creates sometimes a problem in comics.
Well, I mean, when you get, sometimes you'll get all right, give me 5 drawings of, like with Rob Liefeld. Again, I'll go to him, because I know he pumps out a lot of work. So they'll just say, I need Captain America, and he'll do 5 poses, and you don't know, he doesn't know what's going on in that book. But if you're trying to depict some portion of that book, the more information, the better. If you can give me a couple of pages, with the highlighted stuff in the script that you wanted, or any of that's all, to me, I find that helpful.
Because I think that there are people in comics who are really, really good at booking covers. They're really good at it, and they're really good at not even necessarily giving, a script, but saying, look, I want my character in this way with this stuff going on, and I want a cyberpunk feel to it. And they give a lot of direction, and they give a lot of insight. And that artist might not know what the hell's going on in the book, but they know what needs to be delivered. And then I think there's other people who are just really shitty at booking covers. And I think it's a skill. I think it is a skill to understand what a cover is supposed to do, how it's supposed to work in mainstream, how it's supposed to work on Kickstarter, and how it's supposed to work as a collectible. Because all 3 of those things have different positions. And sometimes they're all aligned, but sometimes they're not. Where a cover that could be a collectible could have a different alignment on eBay than it would have on Kickstarter or in a comic shop. Because on a comic shop, it's taking up real estate. And in my opinion, at the very least, a cover in a comic shop is supposed to sell that book. Maybe needs a little help from the store clerk to move that book if the book is struggling. But the cover should be able to really sell. If you order 20 of them, it should be able to move at least 10 of them without any help, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I try not to do that anymore. That got me in a lot of trouble when I first started. Ooh, look at the cool cover. Look at the, I try and follow, artists, writers. So because I have, they've got the experience of, they know what I like, or I know what they, I like what they do. So as far as like how to get a good cover, some people give you too much information because, like you said, you have to hit those right notes. You don't need to throw everything in there. I did one cover that I thought was just absurd because I've got like 100 people in the cover, but because of what it was depicting, it worked. I just it was a scene of the San Diego Comic-Con. The escalators. Well, it was supposed to be everyone. He just wanted hundreds of people in cosplay, but zombies, and that was interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about If It Hops the Grave, which we were supposed to do this interview when it was still live because I wanted to sell this book, guys. Really wanted to sell this book. So it's a beautiful book, and if you missed it, I'm sorry. I like this book because I don't know how much you know about snipers and women snipers in particular, but women snipers are arguably better snipers than men.
I didn't know that.
Because their tatas actually provide more balance that allows for a more stabilization of a shot.
Okay, so that is why I drew her that way. I was just a few days prior to someone saying, "Oh, you want to try? You want to do this cover?" I had seen something, and the guy who was trying the different sniper rifles was using sandbags to stabilize stuff, and that's immediately what I thought of.
I learned that at a libertarian event in a feminist, I guess she was talking about feminism and feminist like political ideology, and I thought it was going to be a really bad lecture, and it was my favorite lecture out of the whole bunch because it was not what I was expecting, and that came up, and I'm like, that makes a lot of fucking sense. You can and you're laughing because it's funny, and
I'm laughing because it's the truth of it. Like I said, you see people like just in. Well, I like I don't own guns, but I like the idea of sharpshooters, the sniper aspect. So I will watch some certain competitions and just the different stands and things that they use to prop themselves. So I think it's hysterical.
I love
to hear
you
say that.
Cover. I honestly think that if I bought a bunch of these covers, I would do just fine with them. but there's a lot of reasons why I passed on that. And eBay is just being difficult, and I didn't want to take the risk until things relatively calm down on my eBay store because I'm an open target on eBay right now. They're really just cracking down on me and beating the shit out of me. So it's just inviting a problem I don't need. Not to mention the gun thing, which I don't have a problem with guns. I don't own any either. But again, I didn't want to invite a third rail issue in my current environment.
I never even thought of that.
I mean,
I wasn't.
I love
no. I hate. I hate the fact that nowadays everything is. There's always that politicized lens. That like you said, the gun thing. I don't. Gun rights. Do there need to be more laws? If there's this many fucking shootings, then yes, there does. Do I think people should have guns? Sure. Fucking, but the right people, and that doesn't mean the police. I could be the right people, just don't piss me off.
No. For me, the problem is that I don't think the gun issue on that book would get me in trouble on eBay. I think it's her tatas that will create the problem because it's just inviting a problem. And also if I'm to pick up 20 of those books, I'm not now a collector anymore. I am looking to turn them and make money on them and make my money back.
Now you're a smut peddler.
Yes, exactly. It's in my crosshairs, God damn it.
But yeah, like you said, I mean, all right, so now they're looking at her breasts and they see the gun there. And you don't know what's going to be
I don't know what's gonna upset eBay, Shopify, Amazon, Facebook Marketplace, and so as somebody, it's an unfortunate side effect where
Oh,
for my own personal collection, I can buy whatever I want.
the word algorithm just ran through my head.
It- no, I understand. But it's a reality of this, and it's an unfortunate side when you go into retail where it's just like it's a great book. It's arguably the best cover on the whole campaign. Um,
I appreciate that.
it's up there. It's up there, and you know it's. But my point is that as a reseller, it's a complicated book, and it forces me to think on a resale level versus a collector level. Like I got no problem putting that book and sharing it on Instagram. I don't think it's going to create a problem that way, but I don't want to jeopardize a.
No, no, you make a good point there. You know, moving forward, how having to again, I don't even want to say a political lens, but how do you find that balance of the pinup sexy that's
I'm
what
thinking not even so much the political side, but what I'm thinking is that from a retail side, how
no
does
no
it
that's
affect me? Because again, if I had a comic shop, so we'll use a famous comic shop. I don't think they're gonna mind. Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash. I don't think that Kevin Smith, who I would imagine owns the shop, who I would imagine is liberal, I don't think he would have a problem with that cover. But the question becomes that what happens if he puts it up on eBay? What happens if he puts it up on a Facebook Marketplace? And that's where I think that gets tricky for me as a
what
reseller with that is the gun is the least of the problems. It's her cleavage that's
you if he puts it up, what happens? He sells the shit out of it. I
fair enough.
don't know why. I don't know why that schmuck Kevin Smith can fucking anything he does. There's an amount of gold dust that gets smeared behind that it does pick up. I've known
It's
Kevin for a long time,
yeah,
so
it's somebody like me
he's
who doesn't have, I guess, the protection,
right.
who can get easily bullied because I don't have the protection. So and it's
But
hard.
but
Hard.
it's also it's not just that, but it's also the branding. I mean, he's not known for being the politically correct guy with dogma and he it's not that's not him. So whatever he's going to show, whatever we went to high school together, and I remember when my father was one of his was a creative writing teacher. Um, but my after years later, my dad told me like when they would get some of his papers, they would like teachers would go out in the hallway and they'd read it together like this is good writing, but man, we shouldn't be showing this. This is inappropriate, like for high school. But they had to share it with each other.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
My
But
old
then
man.
I mean, it's just a problem in which that it's something that I have to think of when you start approaching $100,000 eBay business. It creates a problem, and,
Sure.
and I don't like this problem, and I don't want this problem, but I'm like, fuck, it's so annoying. But I digress.
No, exactly. Again, it doesn't have to be political, but how there are as your business grows, there are so many different eyes on you, and you want that. That's the nature of business
Who knows?
growth.
Maybe I made a bad call. Maybe I should have bought 50 of them and been like, what you want? Fuck it. My mom will yell at me later.
Next time we'll do some remarks on them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Oh my god, we would have like, oh, there's so many things that could have been done. But I do want to show two more
We'll
things.
do Steph Wilson specials, just two circles.
So I do want to touch upon some commissions that you've done also that are probably a little bit less controversial. And I am a fan of Black Cat, and I like this a little peeking out,
Yeah, yeah.
after Monday's interview, I think I can pretty much do anything I want. Did you see my Monday interview?
I did not see your Monday's interview. Monday. Did I have electric on Monday? It's been no, it's been that way. My building had been condemned for a while. With that's why there was so much problems. I had to be put up in a couple different motels, and we got brought back into my apartment, and the electric and the water had been going on and off as they're still doing construction, even though we're not supposed to be here. I just don't want to get. Technically, yeah, we're not supposed to be here because they're still doing work in the building. But I don't want to be in a fucking motel anymore either.
So for those who don't know, Monday I interviewed a anime succubus cam girl. To put it nicely,
anime succubus cam girl. What?
Who is from the anime world?
Okay.
So she is not a human.
Okay.
She is not a human, and she is hentai.com's mascot, and she has a handler. I don't know how to describe this any other way.
A handler?
Yes, a handler.
You said?
Yes.
A handler. Is that anything like a fluffer?
No. Pretty much her handler does her motion capture, and it runs on a video game Real Engine. Your mind's blown, isn't it?
I'm thinking I'm going to have to look into this interview.
So basically, this is her handler has a dev suit that is super expensive, runs on massive servers, and so her handler is not the cam girl. It's the avatar that's the cam girl.
Yeah.
So think Dustin Brunel's Metal Girl, but on StreamMate.
But what?
On StreamMate, like as a cam girl, and watch the interview. Everybody is the point. It's a crazy interview, and it's mind boggling, and it basically makes my argument of AI. It's here, guys, and yes, Google is Skynet. But you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want, and I can show as much of this as I want. I have carte blanche to pretty much go to the line and then some.
After that interview, huh?
I have complete carte blanche, and nobody can tell me I can't. I'm very proud of myself, and I was not punished.
Hey, it was fun. That's fun.
That is a fun one. That is an amazing one. And then I got to show this one too, because I am a big wrestling fan. I have 3 of these blank covers now. I actually have 2 of these blank covers now. So I have my own set, and they trade for a good price.
Do they really?
Trade for like $30 a pop.
Oh, wow.
They're expensive. So what was this like? Because I know you've done Christian. I think you've done Batista. Maybe not on a couple.
No, I've done. Yep. I've done. I did him on a Batista on a Guardians. But those I don't do many portraits, but I enjoy doing those. I won't. I've never done them color. I can't. I just can't get that going. But pencil portraits like this, I mean, it's tedious. All those damn diamonds in that belt. Whew.
No, because I like it. I might hire you for a commission of somebody like Alexa Bliss. I'm a big Alexa Bliss fan.
Oh, there we go.
And I have one of these at a con, and you're on the East Coast, and I would get it graded because it'd be dope.
That one, something like that's a pre-show commission. That takes concentration.
So what we would do is that I would send it to you, and I would pick it up at the con, and then you get it graded. You pick it up from you. That's how you would
Yeah,
have
yes.
to do it.
Yep.
But that's easy enough scheduled. I mean, I don't think you have a problem with doing it that way.
Not at all. It's just
It's
getting to the damn conventions.
yeah. It's but I mean, I have an idea of what I would like for my Alexa Bliss, and it'd be sick. I would want her pigtails in color. So I'd want everything in black and white, but I would want certain things highlighted in color.
I have done that. I've done where they asked me to highlight certain things.
Because even with her, like the women's belt would be cool. The belt was highlighted, but everything else was in black and white. That'd be dope. But I really like this one. It's pretty cool. And then the last commission I want to show before we do speed round, which is going to be fun because I got some fun stuff to talk about, is this. Because I'm a huge One Piece fan. I've obviously had Daniel Ba, who's Jinbei from One Piece on. I've had Brina Palencia, who's Chopper from One Piece on my show. I've had Garp, Brian Mathis has been on. And then there's just been a lot of people from One Piece who have been on my show. And so I am a huge, huge One Piece crocodile. John Swayze's been on my show. Mihawk's been on my show, the voice actor Mihawk. And I would love to interview whoever did Usopp. And so what is this like? Because this is a mashup of Usopp and Hawkeye. And
yeah,
pretty trippy, and pretty timely.
Yeah, that's the same guy that got the Punisher. Got that one. He loves his mashups. Are you a mashup fan?
I am in certain ways, yes.
I don't do many, but I enjoy doing every one of them. I just don't have that. It's not how I think of it. Like when I see something, I'm not going, "Oh, this and this would look good together." But when someone says, "Oh, can you?" I love trying to fit the parts together. To me, that's like customizing a toy.
You grew up, right? I mean, you're significantly older than me. I'm 30, so I mean, I think you were somewhere in the age of the good toy realm where you could take off one of their legs and put on another thing, and it was more universal toys, right?
My toys, I stopped with the toys pretty early on, like the early '80s. GI Joes were pretty much the height of toys at that time. We had the Star Wars that were all they were like 5 points, all the figures, and then the GI Joes had the articulation, but there were no other toys out there, so you weren't doing a lot of.
Did you know the toys I'm talking about where they were so universal that you could take off one character's arm and then put on like a green arm onto him, and then you could like legitimately take off his head and put somebody else's thing onto it? And
were these magnetic toys?
No, they were just like snap toys.
Oh, no, there was a series of toys that came out in the early '80s, and they were like heavy. They had like metal inserts into all their joints, and they were all magnetic. So you could switch them out. They had like the centaurs. You get a horse body. You could do all this cool stuff. But I mean, if you got hit with one of those, it hurt. Holy Christ!
The point is that I didn't grow up in the cool toy era. It's unfortunate that it sucks.
Right now is the cool toy era.
That is true. That is true. I mean, Tom Hutchinson just did his Critter action figure stuff. That was pretty cool.
Right.
Larry Welch did Cherry. That was cool too.
Okay.
I mean, those are like, but like, I mean, there are some cool toys, but like, I don't even know what's like a cool action figure anymore.
I'll tell you, for me, it's Mezco. The company Mezco puts out. They have their own IPs called Rumble Society, but they do great. They're doing a Indiana Jones. It's a 6-inch figure, but it comes with the idol and the pedestal and multiple whips. They're just all fun stuff.
Yeah, no, like I'm not an Indiana Jones guy, but the only thing that I bought lately with Indiana Jones was Topps did a Throwback Thursday, and they did it in Indiana Jones 1981 style.
Do you collect toys?
I don't collect toys. I collect baseball cards and comics, and
Okay.
I collect like sports cards and stuff like that, and I collect like weird trading cards.
Then there's no cool action figures right now. If you don't collect them, then they're not cool.
No.
I
I'll put it.
mean, visually, all right, they're interesting. But at the same time, for the price, like I was collecting statues, like the black and whites,
I used
all
to
the
collect.
Batman stuff, and I stopped doing that. I've cut down my comic books. Now I just get these Mezco figures, but you're paying, you're $100. If it's aftermarket, you're paying. So some of these figures are $500. They're like hot toys.
I collect statues, and I'm a big Gundam fan. So,
Okay.
so, so I am obviously saving up and looking to buy the Lala soon. That is like the Women in Gundam stuff that just came out. So they got Salamass, Lala soon, and they got a few others, and they're beautiful, beautiful statues. And to
Yeah.
me,
Are
that's
they
like the cool
are they
shit.
large?
Yeah, they're pretty big. It's like a bust. It's pretty big.
Who's who's
It's not
putting
like
those out?
massive, but what would you say?
Who's putting those out?
Oh man, it's some Japanese company, but it's like high end.
Of course. And so
Oh,
those Japanese companies put out beautiful. Some of them are just
I mean, you're spending like 140, $150 for a statue. It's not the $40 cheap statue.
yeah.
I bought plenty of those too. Some of them are cool, some of them are dog shit. Um, but like these Gundam stuff, it's the high end shit, and it's just like it's worth every penny. But I'm not. But there's a reason why they like release them every 6 months, because I think they know that if they release them every month, they would bankrupt their audience, and their
Oh
audience
yeah.
couldn't afford it every fucking month. But it
Like
is what it is.
that's exactly same with the toys. They do a release every couple months because and if you go into any group, any card group, any toy group, any comic group, everyone in there is saying, "Oh, this release is coming out," or "Oh, this company's going to bankrupt us with how much stuff they're putting out."
It happens with Tops with baseball cards, where
Yep.
what just happened is the Chrome set, the 2022 to 2023 baseball Chrome set just dropped, and it's a big drop, and it's an expensive drop, and it's complicated. And then the Allen and Grinter set just
How
dropped.
much was it?
A jumbo box was I think like 300.
Okay, see that doesn't sound complicated. Give them 300, you got a fucking box of cards.
The point is that though is that the people who buy this are buying like 6 jumbo boxes.
Yes, no, I
So everybody prepares for it because they know it's coming. They just don't know if it's coming in June, July, or August. So
we're
you
3 years from now. See, that's the problem with the toy issue. The companies. You're saying it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 3 years. Like you were saying, I know there's HasLabs. That's Hasbro's like kind of Kickstarter company.
I like Hasbro. I own a share of their company.
Uh, so HasLab. I know some guys they're doing that Dragonfly helicopter right now. What is that? $379.
Oh man, didn't Mattel just do something with WWE? That was like
So yeah,
500, like the Ultimate Ring or like the WCW ring.
yeah, something like that.
I mean,
But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. People save up, they buy a few of them because they're gonna flip them on the aftermarket.
yeah, no, I'm you know how you can't touch gambling. I can't touch toys because I will be so broke, and I will be just dipping into my savings, and I'll have a lot of cool shit, but I'll be broke.
Well, there's my gambling. What, a new toy? But I limit myself to one line. If I went outside that line, that's where I'm right back to All right. Ah.
I understand though, because I legitimately just picked up the card of the year, and I bought 20 of them, and I sold 18 out of the 20, and I saved 2 for myself, and I made a small little fortune on it, and I don't even have the card yet.
Oh.
So, and I told everybody on Facebook to just buy this card. You'll thank me in the long run. And nobody listened. I put it as my Facebook status.
When is it releasing?
Oh, it's releasing. It'll be in my possession in 10 days.
Oh, okay.
It'll be in my possession 10 to 15 days. My audience has no problem waiting, because right now it's $5 more expensive than the person who paid the highest. But what happened is that somebody cleaned me out and bought 8 of them straight out of me, because it was available for 2 weeks and then it sold out. And then they bought 8 out of it for 38 a piece. I paid 15. Best trade of the year for me.
With that kind of stuff, with the cards, do they limit how many you can purchase?
It was print to order, and it was 2,700 were printed, which means that the price statistically should have gone down. It's probably going to go up because it's Ohtani, who is the best baseball player. He's probably going to be the MVP of this year. And he is the best player in baseball right now. He's the best pitcher and the best hitter.
Who is he with?
The Angels. He is the best player in baseball, hands down, and it's amazing. And that's why that card did what it did. And it's crazy. And then I ship internationally, and oh man, those people international, they're willing to spend real money on this shit.
Huh.
Because it's an American company, and very few people will ship internationally, and I got no problem shipping internationally. So somebody will pay like $40 more. And the beautiful thing is that eBay handles all of it for me. It's great.
Yeah, I've noticed being in some of these, going through these groups now that I've been collecting these toys. You were saying the international shipping and how much some of this shipping costs.
Canada is so bad.
Or Australia. Someone was saying that there was a figure that just came out. I think it was $300. The shipping to Australia was 300 and something. It was more than the figure itself. It was like, how it just doesn't make.
What's crazy though is that, have you ever ordered anything from Australia? Just curiosity.
I haven't.
I used to be a big Pop Funko fan. So during the bushfires, Australia did a special Pop Funko where all the money went to charity a few years ago. So I ordered this Pop Funko. I'm like, this thing's gonna wind up damaged, be a piece of shit, whatever. It was $18. Who cares, right? It'll be fun. I'll just open up. I'll have a good time. So it arrives in a box, little cartridge, freaking tight as fucking be, right? The Pop Funko probably, this is the only way I think it was shipped. It was probably shipped where it was probably shipped from Australia on a boat into Cali, and it was probably individually then slapped the label on the box, ready to go. Because that's the only way I think this thing was shipped, arrived perfectly.
Really?
And I'm like, how the fuck does this thing go from Australia, took 3 months to get here on a fucking boat, no dents, and yet a comic coming from another state gets released?
That happened with the I did the McFarlane Kickstarter for those figures that he released, those limited spawn, and when they came in, those boxes were so pristine from China. So they came in, like you said, they came into a port, then they started slapping the labels from that warehouse.
That is the only way I could think, because it was perfect. But
yeah,
and then I say, how the hell does a comic book from the town over get creased on its way here? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it's mind-boggling to me.
What really pisses me off, when I send commissions out, I make sure I say, please do not bend. You know, I cardboard in and out, and
do you top load?
And so some people will still get them. I've had them with like the masonite in there, and it's still got bent. Like the masonite was broken. What the fuck are they doing with these things?
So one of the things that I do is that I send out a lot of books. I charge $13 or $14 shipping. And people say, why do you charge so much? Because I'm buying insurance on your fucking book. And so whenever something gets damaged, I send it to the insurance claim. I've learned a very valuable lesson that I buy extra insurance whenever somebody orders something from Jersey. I've had 2 packages get lost in Jersey. And I think New Jersey, and no offense, but just from my experience, I've shipped to Oklahoma, I've shipped out to Utah, I've shipped out to weird places where the package should not be there and would be stolen. No problems. I ship it to New Jersey, packages get lost in Jersey. For whatever reason, they get lost in Jersey. And so now I just insure.
Half the time they think it's a body, they figure we better hide it. That's the thing. I know it's a problem.
And
fucking marshlands.
Nothing against New Jersey, but there's certain areas where and I've learned a lesson.
Move here, you'll have plenty against New Jersey, cocksuckers.
But you have to insure it, because once you insure something for $200, the post office doesn't fuck around with it. They don't. I think they know what packages are worth and are insured.
Oh yeah, it's got to be. There's got to be some code. You're probably right.
Because when something is insured heavy, they're like, bro, don't fuck with this package and deliver it to the front door. Don't shove it into the mailbox. Don't do it. But if it's a $50 thing, they're like, yeah, we'll see what happens.
No, you're 100% right. Because sometimes I'll get stuff and it's just thrown on the front step, and then there's other times it's placed against the door lovingly, propped up nicely. I open the door, it's like la, and you're home to this, Sometimes the little kids running down the street kicking it because that's where they found it. Oh, motherfuckers! I'm not kidding. Little fuckers out here playing kickball with your package.
I know there's a code. There has to be, and it's unfortunate. But again, I insure it, because guess what? I don't want to be left with the bag, and I tell my buyers, I say, look, your book's going to be insured. So if there's a real problem, you let me know immediately.
Well, if you want a bag, you got to pay for that in Jersey now too. They don't give bags out. The plastic bag thing's gone. Now you get they charge you for the little.
I forgot who put it up. I don't know if you saw that on Facebook. Somebody said the self-checkout at Walmart, the person was double bagging. They were there checkout at Walmart, and then the person who was the monitor at the self-checkout said, why are you using 2 bags? And he said, okay, so if I put my milk in one bag and then I use one bag and then I put my OJ in the other, I'm still using the same bag versus putting the milk and the OJ in the same double bag. I was like, no, you're not double bagging. Did I just break your mind? You're just. Are you trying to like commute this?
No.
It's like it's going around Facebook. It's the funniest
thing
in a while.
The person at Walmart had a problem with them doing that.
Yeah. The customer was fine doing it. The person who was like the podium monitor at the self-checkout had a problem with them doing that.
Why?
What they wanted them to do is they wanted them to use one
bag for one item. Yeah, no, I get that.
Versus putting the same 2 bags for 2 items. for the 2 items.
I'm just trying to grasp the problem there. Why would they have a problem with that?
I think the problem is that they thought the person would double bag both items. And somehow the person would say, no. I'm putting the milk and the OJ next to each other. I'm just double bagging it, and it's the same amount of bags regardless.
Now, what if the person did the 2 bags and put 4 items in? Can they come back and get 2 more bags later on?
I don't know.
When they needed them? You don't always need that many bags. I got so many fucking bags. They're everywhere. They're in the car. They're in the closet. They're everywhere.
I just thought it was
Man,
the
that's
funniest thing.
what I'm going to start using as packing now. The fucking bags you get at all these places.
Oh, I love using weird shit as packaging now. I love using weird shit. Like, you ever get a bunch of beat up comics and then like what I want to do is I want to buy a shredder and I just want to shred up the comics and like you roll it into a tube and then like you use it and you make it like a foam protector. Oh, it's great. Like I buy a lot of like books. I bring in a lot of merch, right? I just recycle bubble wrap and Geminis. I've legitimately reduced my costs in my Geminis and bubble wrap by 25% this year.
Hell yes.
It's awesome. Except it's frustrating because I used to buy a big thing at Staples, and I don't think people understand how much fun it is to have a big thing of bubble wrap. It's like you can do so much shit with it. It's so much fun. Like you could throw it at things and it doesn't hurt anything. It's awesome. He's just looking. He's just looking at a bunch of
I'm looking around my room and all these shelves and all these small things and how much damage a ball of bubble wrap could actually do in here.
I mean, how big do you think this thing is? It's like a spool. I mean, it's a fucking spool of bubble wrap. It's awesome.
In here, that's a bull in a china shop. There's all the figures. That's what I'm saying. Oh, yes, the protector. The tides have turned.
I'm just saying, I have had so much fun, but now, as I bring in so much stuff, I don't need to buy so much, spools of bubble wrap. I reduce my cost by 25%.
You know what? I hear there's a very kinky group. Balloons. Now that you're out of the bubble wrap, move to balloons. Bring some more of those in.
But I feel like I would be offending people by getting high on helium.
Oh, see, now you see. I just said balloons. You narrowed down that base. Now now people need a certain pitch. Yeah, I mean, it's more niche, but hey, there's a group for everything. Trust me.
But I don't want to be floating on this group. This is what happens when your job really pushes you. This is what happens. You either collapse or you become a diamond. It's one or the other. But we should probably do speed round. Because speed round's fun.
So what is speed round?
So I got a bunch of stuff, and you have 30 seconds when I show you what I'm going to show you. Are you ready?
All right. And what do I have to do when you show me?
Oh, you'll figure it out
very
quickly.
All right.
You ready?
What
would you do in this book? Dark metal, black cover.
What would I do on it?
Yeah. Let's go. 40 minutes. It starts now.
What's his name? Fucking the Batman Who Laughs. Of course, you got to do that. Man, I hate those black fucking covers though.
Would you do it negative space or traditional space?
Actually, I have one of those, and I want to do it traditional. I want to paint it white. I have an idea for that one.
Fair enough. You've done this somewhat already, but what would you do on this one?
I want to do a Steph Wilson Black Cat. I want to take one of his concept drawings, his loose sketches, and refine it for my style.
Would you use cups?
No, we're going with bowls. Bowls. It's going to be like one of those trifold covers. Tink, tink.
Why do a trifold when you could do a 5 gatefold?
Well, I mean, if it folds down, okay. I mean, but I'm thinking you need at least 2 to fold out so that we have plenty. I'm not talking like little cereal bowls. I'm talking We're making some pasta here.
Are you talking something like this? Bulls?
No, I'm talking a pasta bowl. Talking Sunday dinner. Those fuckers, they need the bowl. Just you need a page just per breast. That's right up Steph's alley. I want to see him rough that, and I'm gonna finish it. There we go.
If you're gonna go big, you might as well go Triple Z.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You don't see it enough these days.
We got to bring it back, right? You got to bring it back.
No, we don't. I mean, all of a sudden, the memories of some of those '90s covers with those. I'm going, oh yeah, we didn't need that.
Oh come on! Maxie Mounds would be proud.
All those enlargements have now become reductions. They've realized the errors of their ways.
Well, it hurts the back. Let's.
Yeah. Exactly.
So what'd you do on this one? Captain Phasma. From arguably one of the greatest Star Wars movies of all time. Said no.
First thought, I'd use one of those chrome pens. But you have to paint a base so that it'll do that mirror effect. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sort of.
There's a pen. It's called liquid chrome, and as long as the surface, like on a regular comic cover, because it's got a nice smooth a gloss to it, it becomes a mirror.
That's actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, so
that existed. That's actually
on that cover would be perfect for it.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. Something like Captain Phasma, like in that, with like the reflecting of the helmet, would be dope.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, honestly, well, I'm just thinking, maybe even just like almost like a portrait of her helmet, because I think Captain Phasma is a she, right? If I remember.
Yes. Yeah,
like,
the from Game of Thrones. Who was the?
Oh, it's been a while since I've seen The Force Awakens, which was the best out of all of them.
No, I'm saying the actress from Game of Thrones. The
yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just don't know her name.
Yeah, I can't place it up.
I think
I'm horrible with names.
I think there was a lost opportunity with Captain Phasma. I really thought there was a lost opportunity.
Aren't they selling that back to Lucas?
Are they?
If I'm not mistaken, I heard
That's crazy.
George Lucas may be reacquiring Star Wars because they're looking to unload some properties because they're buying CNN. What are they buying? What's Disney buying? Whatever they're trying to buy, it's enough for them to consider.
I mean, they're not buying anything from Warner Brothers Discovery massively, at least.
I don't know what they're buying, but again, it was all to help with this other. They're trying to buy up some company. Yeah, I don't know how true it is, but I have seen. Since I've heard that, I heard that at Fan Expo Philly, and I've seen a few memes or something, and I didn't really put two and two together, but they were about Lucas and doing something with Star Wars. So I'm wondering if
been following that at all. I've been following what's going on with Resident Evil. Something's going on with that.
Wow, what do you mean?
So usually, and then I'm relatively reactionary. Today, I got 2 ads on Facebook related to Resident Evil. One of them was for Resident Evil Infinite Darkness that just dropped an alcohol. And I know you don't drink, but usually when a company does a collab with an alcohol, there's something in the works somewhere.
Sure.
And then they did the energy drink of the first aid spray with the herbs to like make like the healing stuff that you could like enhance a drink with. And the alcohol was relatively cheap. It was like $50 with shipping and all that stuff. For an alcohol, that's probably okay. And then the first aid spray for like a case of like 8 or 16 of them was like $200. I'm like, fuck, that's a lot. But the fucking can is dope. It's a first aid can. It looks like it's from the game.
Okay, all right. I mean, that does sound cool, but
It's like one of those things that like you have at your party and like it's a power play. You just like put it into like a bucket of ice. You're like, oh yeah, and then you come out with like a wound, like a fake wound. I would totally fuck with my friends in that way, but it comes in like an ammo case. It's dope as shit, but like it's $200, and I'm like,
and what? But what is it? What's in it?
oh, it's an energy drink. I don't know what the fuck the
Just
energy.
okay, just like nothing special. Just
no, it's like a Resident Evil energy drink that's like limited, but who cares? You have a first aid spray Resident Evil energy drink. Like that's a fucking power play. And then like it comes in a case, and you have the herbs that you can mix to like make your green herb and red herb, and you have a yellow herb to increase your health odds. It's so stupid. It's something that I would totally buy though if I had the money.
Exactly, if I had the money.
If I had the disposable money and I wasn't an adult, it's something I would totally buy.
Oh, see, that's the problem. That's the part I skipped, the adult part.
It's all right. It's all right.
And I guess that's why, that's why I can't afford that house I was talking about.
I can't afford a house either, but I also am right now really can't afford anything else either because I'm but I have no debt. I have no debt. I all my money's in my business, and that's the problem.
Yeah. I can't say I have debt. But all of it's tied up in everything, in everyday production and making sure that the wheels just keep greased and turning.
I just went through a $25,000 expansion in my eBay business, so all debt free. So I am a little bit reluctant to go and make a crazy expenditure because it'd be insane, and you mentally cannot go that aggressive.
I actually just did it's not larger, it's actually smaller, but it's a much better paper towel holder because the one I had was on the counter. This one's mounted out of the way. So now it just frees up real estate. But I understand, now there's a figure that I wanted to get, but after that paper towel holder, I had to hold off.
I completely agree.
You understand? I understand your expansions, though. We all have to upgrade at our own pace.
Oh no! I mean, 4 months. It's been a fucking insane 4 months.
See, mine took me an hour.
I wish mine took me an hour.
Less. It showed up in a box. I took the one off the counter. I put 2 screws in. There we go. Look at that.
I'm happy with my expansion, but it's time to like take 6 weeks off and be like, oh, I'm gonna just chill out and not really deal with this and stabilize. I just want to be like on cruise control, flying like 35,000 feet up in the air, just looking at the clouds and the pretty birds, and just I could breathe. And I'll do it again. I'll do it again.
Do you have your pilot's license?
Not legally.
Have you ever flown? Like piloted?
Does Flight Simulator Windows 99 count? Hey, I can fly. I could take off. I can fly the plane. I can do a barrel roll. I can't land the motherfucker for shit.
Oh man, I don't mind being in a plane, but I'm not a guy. Flying is not a thrill.
Well, you haven't let me flown yet, so that's the problem.
Maybe. Hey, I'm not saying that. I'm sure there's some fun flights.
when you fly A Davis, there's a good chance you won't make it through the whole flight. But it will be one hell of an adventure because we purposely do tricks and we turn out tricks and flips, and we do not offer any complimentary beverages. We tried that once, and well, the plane
I've got no problem with an airline that's willing to turn out a trick. Hot damn, I'm there. Strap me in. As long as you're not strapping one on.
Hey. We offer all the services.
Hey, I'm not.
What's your
You can offer it. I'm just going to be selective in which options I choose from the menu.
And that's what we encourage. It's all about choice here. Customer service is number one, but we do not offer any beverages because we tried once. And boy, when you're doing a barrel roll and people have their soda up, it's very hard to get out of staying up on the roof of your plane or on the top of your plane. It's not really a good job. There's a lot of weird questions that happen.
You got to make sure they're all alcoholics and you only serve alcohol. No one will spill a drop. Doesn't matter what you do. I got it. I know some motherfuckers could fucking roll down a hill. They didn't spill a fucking drop out of that beer.
Those people are special. Those people are special. So anyway, the last one I want to talk about is this one. What would you do on this one? The Street Fighter and Friends swimsuit special by Capcom. Udon. I think this was like last year. It's a good book.
Is it really?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this. This was the same thing where this was the year they did the Nicki Minaj cover for Chun-Li.
I don't even know what that. I've never even seen it. It's a Street Fighter book though. Swimsuit special. Well, what would you want on it? See, I'm not good at that. I buy covers that I want to do drawings on.
I want Cammy in a wedding dress.
In a wedding dress?
With Chun-Li as the groom.
See, now I'm thinking, okay, and I'm thinking a lot of lace and all that little detail in there.
No, I would actually really like Cammy in a wedding dress. Like seriously, like a really like nice, elegant, you know, kind of
more like a wedding photo portrait type of thing.
Yeah. Or maybe capturing her just like because Cammy is a tough chick, and I think it'd be cool to capture the femininity and her in not a humiliating position, but more of a, I guess. How do I?
I guess if she's in a wedding dress, she's not guarded. You know, her guard's down. She's just that. Hopefully, if you're at a wedding, you're relaxed.
I think it could be a really cool thing. It's gentle. It shows more of a feminine side, and I wouldn't want it. I would want it to be obviously in her style, but I would want it to be like an elegant wedding dress. I think it'd be cool, and I think it'd be interesting in a lot of ways. I think it's a cool book.
No, when you said in the wedding dress and trying to show a softer side, honestly, I thought going back to doing an elegant wedding dress, kind of like the way I did that sketch cover, the pencil sketch cover, and the belt, doing all that elaborate work into some sort of wedding dress.
Yeah, definitely something that is lacy and definitely in that realm, but kind of just capture that because it's nice to see a tough character in that realm and I guess appreciate it.
Yeah. I feel like she's she has such a masculine physique. She's usually depicted, or a lot of fan art is depicted that way. I don't know if that's supposed to be her natural.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you were saying something.
I was saying I don't know if she's meant to be as masculine as a lot of people depict her.
I think to some degree she is, but I also think that she's just been sexualized. both in fan art and even in cosplay. And I think that it's become a very weird thing where I think it's kind of like it's almost an excuse for female cosplayers to have a very tough character but be feminine. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think she checks off a box, and it's a very controversial thing that what I just said, but I think her cosplay checks off that box very efficiently.
I think when you said that, it made me think. I think there are some characters out there that I'm not sure I still remember what the base character was. You know what I mean? Because there's been so much fan art, so much cosplay, so many SKUs taken on it. I don't remember. It's not like a stormtrooper where you see these stormtroopers that are in every color. They have that's a Deadpool stormtrooper, and there is always that base model that you know. I feel like there's those characters, like she's one of them, where I forget what the original really was meant to be.
Yeah, I think Supergirl is also in that category in
Yes,
ways where Supergirl is not the same
100%.
Supergirl. That Supergirl was my Supergirl and your Supergirl are not the same.
Who is your Supergirl?
I mean, my Supergirl is actually sort of so Michael Turner is my Supergirl. So when Michael Turner depicts Supergirl
Okay.
on those covers, that is my Supergirl.
Okay.
And that's kind of my Supergirl. And I don't know who your Supergirl is, but
No, that works for me. I was going to say the actress from the show when that first came out, but that same type was kind of, it came from the Michael Turner type of look. So I feel like we have a similar idea of who Supergirl is, but I agree with you. There are so many versions of her that I don't even remember what the original, like what she was meant to be.
it's complicated and it's weird. And again, though, I mean, there's Supergirl Teen Titans. There's Supergirl in her own book. There's Mark Waid's Supergirl. I mean, there gets a point where Mark Waid's Supergirl, and there's been runs on that, and that was a good run in my opinion. There's a few really good issues in that, but then you go into this whole thing where then cool, what about Art Jam's Supergirl and New 52 or what they just shot out, and then like great cover, but not
Sure.
necessarily a great book. But
And
Art
that goes back.
Jam is a beast. I mean that cover looks, I don't know if you know the cover, it's like a foil cover. That cover looks like you could
Yes.
like stroke her costume, and it looks like it's like you could feel it. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like it's that beautiful that it looks like it's her cloth.
Gotcha. No, I'm not picturing. I feel like I can see it, but not in that kind of detail.
It's that good. It's like the cover of the most modern, beautiful, and it's so just epic foil. It's like $5 for like a foil book. Best fucking deal in comics in a while was that. It's a great book. It's a great book. And then the non-foil of that was good too. But the foil, $5 for a fucking foil. I mean, come on. That's like a fucking steal.
Hell yeah. $5
Yeah.
for any comic book feels like is a steal nowadays.
So let me ask you that before I let you go and give you a chance to promote. Like, where do you feel the industry's going? Because it is complicated, and I'll just state my two opinions on this. Is that I feel that comics are really expensive and it's a rich man's game at the moment, to say the least. Both on indie and even in mainstream. And I think manga is legitly kicking comics' ass. And I was in Barnes and Noble on Monday earlier this week, and the manga section, and I've been going to Barnes and Noble for 20 years, almost every weekend, has slowly eaten up the graphic novel section. Slowly, legitimately shelf by shelf by shelf. And I've seen it in real time.
I don't know enough about manga, but from what I see, or from what what I'm seeing, as it's eaten up, but it's not collected like like those like a floppy. You know what I mean? They don't have. At least I don't know this to be true. The people aren't collecting it for this cover, for that. They follow the stories with,
I think my take is that I don't think they find it as a collectible. I think
Yeah.
people want to build a manga library, but
Yeah, it's more like someone's um
classic book
what's
collection.
yeah, okay, you say classic book. I was gonna say they're I don't want to say smutty book, like the paperback, like the women, Daniel
Romance
Steele.
novels, the
Yeah,
book
thank you,
club.
thank you. The romance novels where people will have a collection like that. Yes, so it's like that, but it's not it's not bought. It's purchased for them. There is no trading. There is no buying and selling of it aftermarket.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, I have a manga collection. I got a big one. I'm actually staring at a lot of it. It's in a lot of boxes, and I have a lot of manga books, and I love them. And some of them are worth real money, apparently. Um,
Really?
Speaking about One Piece, I have a bunch of the foil One Piece early prints, and those trade for like 40, $50 a pop, which is crazy. An $8 book going for $50 shouldn't it? No, it's great. I love it. It's awesome. Um,
Now, who put the book out?
Viz put the book out, but they discontinued the foil after a
Who?
while. So Viz Media.
Okay,
The foil was an early gimmick, essentially. And
gotcha.
so it's the idea that when they reprinted One Piece, the foil disappeared because it was just one of those things where that's what it was.
Yeah,
Um,
well, we love our foil, so it's not disappearing. Oh, what? It's not on that book? Well, you can get it over here and slap, 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 and slap, and slap, 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 and they're slapping it all over the place. God damn it!
it's like what the Image Chrome stuff.
Exactly,
If you ever want to make an
exactly.
old timer feel really good in comics, you bring them like one of their old Chromebooks that you find in a dollar bin at a comic signing. And be like, oh my gosh, it's great. That's what
Hey,
happened.
don't say that. Oh man.
No. It's awesome. It's awesome. You could see the lights, their eyes.
Um,
So I that's what happened with Dave Finch, right? So I'm at Awesome Con a few years ago, and I brought him Cyberforce, the Chrome edition of like 25 years or so of Cyberforce, or like 10 years, and he hasn't seen the book in a while, and he did 2 or 3 pages in it, and so he knows it's not getting graded. He knows it's like a dollar book, right? But he hasn't seen it, and then he just starts thumbing through it, and you can see, he's like, oh man, I haven't seen this in a while, and then he actually drew me like a little stinger on my book that was getting graded, which was cool, and he didn't charge me for it, and he was
there you
happy.
go.
But like, it's just one of those things where it's not a mean story. It's just that it
No,
was.
no, yeah, no. The way you at first, I thought you meant. Yeah, I was taking it the wrong way. I had done that with Capullo. I had found this old horror magazine. It was like some of his first artwork, and he said he hadn't. It was like a second issue of it. He did like the cover and something inside. And honestly, when I looked through it, I couldn't recognize any. There was no artwork that I thought was recognizable. So for him to tell me that he did something in it, I was like, okay. But he loved seeing it, you know.
But I knew Dave Finch worked on it. I'm like, man, this is probably going to make his day, because it's the idea that who remembers this A, and I was going, and it's the type of thing that the book was loved, but it's not a gradable book, because you just don't grade that book.
Okay.
And it was just one of those things, though, that like he's like thumbing through it, and you could see like, oh man, I haven't seen this in forever, and somebody actually has one of these, and it's not a rare book. It's just super cool, and he was thrilled to see it, and I was thrilled to bring it, and That's just how I feel. Is that
I'm sure a third of my old collection was those type of books, the stuff that the '90s books that are all in the dollar bins now.
But they're good books. They're great.
Oh,
They're great.
some
They're
of
great
them.
stories. I mean, my favorite book that I ever pulled out. Actually, I have a few favorite books. I pulled a 10,000 leather Lady Death cover out of a dollar bin. So this is there's a store where in Harrison that I used to go to, and the guy brought in a big collection, and he probably paid. He brought in maybe like 20 long boxes. Maybe he paid 15 to 20 bucks for those long boxes a pop, if at all that. So now what's in there is stuff like Lola XX by Sia Ohm, Witchblade, like customer appreciation books. There's some other stuff in there like the Lady Death leather cover limited to 10,000. There's some stuff that like Top Cow swimsuit edition. All these good stuff that like you could tell somebody loved in their collection that they had
Sure.
forever. And
that guy I was telling you, my old boss who got me into comics, he bought a collection. I think it was 25 long boxes. I forget how much he paid. It was a couple $100. But out of those 25 long boxes, like you said, you'll find some fucking gems in there that, it's the collection overall may not be that great, but there are you can find some awesome stuff in there.
And you also find the books where you could sense the soul of the person on it, right? Like when I'm going through a dollar bin and like this stuff, like I was like the first or the second person through it, I could sense that somebody loved these books. Somebody loved these books, and I don't know who it was. I don't know what circumstance it was on. Maybe they had it for a while and they passed away, and it's unfortunate. But like you could tell somebody cherished this stuff. And so now I go up to the counter and the guy in the shop wasn't going to jack up the prices on it. And then I would have paid $2-3 for some of these books.
Right.
Not even questioning it. But like I didn't jack up the prices. And that's the thing is that's what was so cool about it, because he probably paid 2-3 cents a book in reality for this stuff. And it was some good stuff. And then like there's just some other good stuff in there too, like the Mark Waid Supergirl run. A good like 6 or 7 issues in a row of that. So there you go.
I found a deal. Someone was getting rid of it was just a lot of Gen 13 books. I think it was like 50 books overall. Wanted $25. I was like, all right, here's $25. In there, there was like 3 Gen 13, like the first run, the original 5 issues. There was some signed by J. Scott Campbell, some by Jim Lee, and in good condition. Nothing was bagged and boarded, but it was all good condition. But with the signatures on there, I was like, it made it worth it for me at least.
I mean, I picked up some good Gen 13. My favorite stuff is the Bones like crossover. Did you know this? I don't know if it was the first or second Gen 13 stuff. It was Bones like that like ghost white character thing.
Was the character from what story was he from?
I think he's from his own story.
Oh, then I don't know that, because I know there was a crossover. I think the book was a DV8, and there was a character that I want to say it sounds familiar, but that's an old. I'm trying to remember who that crossover was with.
It's a good question.
It is.
I don't know. I'm looking up the Bone stuff because now I'm curious. Because I could be wrong.
Oh, but I know what you're talking about. The Bone. Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that might have been in that same.
Yeah. It was like he was on the cover, and I don't know if it was a crossover in the book, but he was on the cover, and I'm like, oh man, this is super cool. Like this is super trippy. Like this is one of those things that's just like, oh shit, this is pretty fucking dope.
I think they did one with Spawn too. I think that was an Image thing
Yeah,
for
yeah.
some
Without,
promotional.
there's a bunch of stuff like the Star Trek Legion of Doom stuff is cool. That's trippy. I had Nichelle Nichols sign that book for me as
I don't have
Lieutenant
any of
Uhura.
that. I was just thinking the old like when Image first started and McFarlane was doing Boof. Do you remember that?
I don't, just because what everybody has to realize is that I came into comics when I was in college. So I came in late.
Oh.
I came in late. So I was reading a lot of manga and a few graphic novels here and there, but I didn't get in. And then I was picking up a few single issues here and there. But a lot of people don't realize that I was not necessarily reading when I was like 13. I was reading some graphic novels, but then I got heavy into comics. And then, obviously, a lot of other stuff wound up happening with that, and then I just took to a duck to water, and then I built a business around it relatively soon, which further made me indoctrinated into this industry. So,
That's what it is.
I have a different approach than a writer does, and I have a different approach than an artist does because I came in on more of a business side, but then I was podcasting pretty much when I started in my senior year. So senior/junior year, I was pretty much podcasting and getting into pop culture. So like I've come in the other way,
Gotcha.
which
Yeah.
so I've gone backwards and forwards at the same time, which is trippy as fuck.
Do you do a lot of conventions?
I don't. I used to.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a con in 4 years.
Why is that?
Honestly, COVID happened, and there was just a really bad experience at two of my last cons. And I used to present a lot on comics and anime and stuff. And honestly, it's expensive, and I don't get value out of this. I don't. It's. I mean, I'm self-funded,
No.
and the economics don't work out for me. Versus this runs me $240 a year on
Yeah.
StreamYard. Versus me going to a con, getting there. I mean, even if I have a free ticket I'm presenting, parking, gas, all that shit, it's so fucking expensive.
It
And
eats into. Yeah, it is.
versus when I do this and I can get everything I want out of the internet and my eBay business. Maybe not everything, but if I can get 85%, and I could pull 32% profit margins in my eBay business, why the fuck would I want to go to a con?
Absolutely.
I don't think I can beat. I don't think I can beat it. I have yet. Somebody has to make me an argument that the expenditure, my time, and actual annualization rates and rates of hourly rates would outperform what I'm doing on my eBay business from my bed. Legitimately from my bed.
Get you out of the house.
Go to Starbucks. Like I get out of the house plenty. That's not my problem. But like I'll go for a walk. I'll go to the pub. I'll go to Starbucks, Noble. But I also
a walk. Then you get nature on you.
Fair enough. But you get my argument though, right?
Yeah, no, I do.
And this is what I try to explain to artists, especially new ones, is that what is your business model? Because I think this is also a problem, is that if you could make $40,000 in profit, in pure profit, and never have to go to an anime con or a Comic Con, why are you going? What? Because I don't think people break down their economics. Now, if it's economically viable to you, that's different. But if you're breaking even, I mean, it seems like a shitty business model.
It's definitely for the artists. It's definitely a shitty business model. But it's for the people that know how to network. That's where a lot of it gets done. So they're in that networking. If you can add in the value, like when you go home, do you have work because of that? That again, that's where a lot of people. That's where I see a lot of the value. breaking even. Not that I just break even, but even making a small profit, you have a lot more overhead than the amount of profit most of the artists are making. So you have to be looking. I'm looking at the long game. I'm not doing the convention because I'm not doing conventions just so I can do another convention.
Sure,
That's
sure. I mean, I get that. I mean, I guess the way I view what I'm doing is that I've done almost 500 interviews. I've been doing this for 10 years, and all I do is I just shoot people emails, and I'm polite, and then I circle back, and then I'm gonna keep shooting the same people I want an email. Because I fucking can't take this kid anymore. I can't fucking take him. I have to say yes, and then I leverage that, and then I just happen to sometimes catch people at the right time, and I've happened to interview a bunch of people who are prominent, and it carries a lot of weight. Carries a lot of weight when you have people like Chris Daniels, independent wrestler, king of the indies. Chris Daniels, head of AEW talent, has been on my show. Kazarian's been on my show. Masha Slamovich has been on my show in the wrestling world. When I show up and I want a wrestler, it carries a lot of weight. Despite necessarily my audience not being the biggest, people are like, why did this person come on his show? And then people realize that, oh shit, like I've interviewed a lot of fucking people because I know how to fucking play the game.
Yeah. You have a track record.
And so there you go. And then same thing with my eBay store. And then for me, what I'm finding just is I'm trying to just buy my merch cheaper. And all I have to do is shoot an email and say, I'll buy 30 of these cards. Can you do it for $12 a piece? And more times than not, when I want a lower rate, I'll buy more and I'll get my lower rate because that's just
the nature of business.
It's that money talks. Money
exactly.
Talks. And you know, so I just shoot people emails. And you know what is? If somebody doesn't want to be on my show, okay, that's fine. Somebody can't make a Tuesday or a Wednesday, no worries. I have no problem not doing it in a week. I have no problem now.
And there's how many people have access to this? You know,
it's. I don't even think it's an access thing. I mean, StreamYard is $240 a year. $240 is nothing. It's nothing in this.
No, but I'm saying with that accessibility, no one needs to, like you said, oh, if someone doesn't want to do it, you can move on to the next person. There are so many people out there that
and I go for it. I mean, I go for it and I hit up people and I say, what's the worst that's going to happen to me? Is a no. I've had one person in over 1,200 people I've asked. I've had one nasty person. I don't know what that is on a percentage, but that is less than 1% by far.
And what'd you do to piss that one off?
You know what it is? I just think I caught her on a bad day, and I said, "Hey, I would love to interview you. I saw you in this magazine." And I said to this person, I would love to interview you. I think you're killing it. And the person said, I don't have time. And they just shot me a nasty message back. And I politely responded back. I said, okay, no worries. And that was the end of that conversation. I said, okay.
No sleep lost.
I mean, I was upset for like a week. I was like, what the fuck? This was early on. This was maybe like my 10th interview in. So I was upset, but I was like, okay. And that was the end of that. And then I moved on, made a little mental note, and said, never hitting you up again. And that was the end of that. I write notes on people. I write notes on people not to bother them when they're nasty to me or to circle back. And you know what is? I make it crystal clear. If somebody gives me an attitude, says some super back, no worries. I'll circle back in a year. And I circle back that day of the year purposely. I mean, why? Because I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to circle back to you in 3 months, and then I circle back to you in 3 months, you know what fucking happens? People are like, oh shit, you circled back in 3 months.
Yeah,
you actually said what you were going to do,
and that does hold weight.
It holds a lot of weight when people do that, but I digress. But again, I mean, I don't know if anybody can do this though. I don't know if anybody can do what I'm doing right now. And the reason why is that I've been doing this for almost 10 years. But I think anybody can get to the level of doing what I'm doing. But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I say that to, at conventions. That's something else I like about conventions, the interaction with younger kids. Because they, the parents bring them, and the ones that are interested in drawing, getting that interaction with just making sure that spark is lit. Finding those passions.
I get it. I get it. I'm not anti-convention. It just doesn't work in my
No,
opinion.
I know. I'm just because I remember when I used to just go, and I can't just even nowadays. I can't imagine just going as an attendee because of the cost, because of the crowd, because of if I didn't have the table to sit behind, there's no fucking way I want to be out on the other side of that.
So I used to do panels and I used to get free tickets. So I really enjoy lecturing. And there's nothing like lecturing in front of 250 people, knowing people are there and you could drop a pin. And I've done it. I've sold out the Javits Center. I've had 250 people in a room in the Javits Center, and I had panels back to back. And in my first panel, which was the lesser panel, I had about 70 people in, and I said, if you leave this room, you're not coming back in. And it's very, very, very rewarding when you sell out a room knowing and everybody's staring at you for 45 minutes. It's a very weird feeling, and you're on your game. And I don't remember the lecture, but I remember seeing a whole room owned, and I remember being on point with some jokes and some other stuff. And I remember people coming up to me after be like, "Oh, that was really good." And I remember that I could have dropped a pin, and it could have been heard in the last row of that room in front of 250 people. And my only regret is that I should have got up, opened the door, and told the attendee who was monitoring the door, "Let me just take a picture of this fucking line." That's the only mistake I made that whole day.
There you go.
But it's happened a few times, and it's nice when you're the one not getting paid at a con, and a guest next to you doesn't sell out. That's very, very, very rewarding. But I digress. We're learning a lot about me today, everybody. I would imagine that if you have a line at your table and somebody doesn't have a line, it's a nice feeling. Not because you want the other person to fail, but because it's. I would imagine that it is very rewarding for you because it's like people want to support me.
You know what? Even if I have one person, it doesn't matter to me. I'm an ex-heroin addict, an ex, alcoholic. You're never an ex, but I've gone through all these different
Recovering, right?
I'm still debating. I enjoyed all those things. I'm not saying never again. I'm never going to say that because, hey, one good night could just be the end of the fucking whole thing. And you just give in. Hey, it's happened, right? But all those different things have made how I view my position, in conventions and just the fact that I get to do art as my job. I just have a different view. I'm just very appreciative. It's just because I know I could be dead a few times over by my own doing. So
it's the idea that you get a second bite at the apple when statistically you should not.
Exactly.
And I'm not trying to be mean about that.
No, that's 100% right. You get this, like I said, when I was younger, I did apply to the Kubert School. So to be able to do this, get that in my 40s or 50s, it's like that second bite. And I never bothered to grow up. So now I'm surrounded by comics and toys, and artwork and cool fucking people.
Now you're learning how my business works and how I get to I'm not surrounded by necessarily a lot of cool people, and I don't get to do art, but I get to buy a lot of cool books and buy a lot of cool cards, and I get to keep a bunch of it and then sell a bunch of it, and I'm getting to make a profit, and it's awesome. And I don't think people understand how fucking lucky I am when I am able to have a 26 to 32% profit margin and a business that is sustainable, and I get to buy a bunch of shit.
I may reach out to you for some tips because I'm thinking about expanding into something with these toys, but that's for a different conversation.
That's for a private conversation.
Exactly. There we go. More to the point.
Hey, I get it. Believe me, I deal with NDAs all the time. I have a few myself. And if people ask me about it, I'm like, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. Not to mention that I have a project coming up that I can't talk about, that I'm doing a lot of work on, because I have to source a certain material / items before I bring that out. But I can't talk about it. But when it comes, it's gonna be dope as shit. It's gonna be awesome. But I do want to give you a chance to promote yourself. Been speaking for a while, and obviously I thoroughly enjoy
there's no promotion. I just come on to talk. No, seriously, I don't promote anything. If people like my stuff, just like at conventions, if you like my stuff, you like my stuff. I'm not trying to force it on anyone. I will say I am still doing. We got the next chapter, the next arc of No Heroin coming out from me and Frank Gogol, who's the writer of Dead End Kids. And beyond that, I don't really have any sequential work coming up. A couple things in discussion, but nothing really, nothing I can say with any certainty.
Well, I mean, you got a bunch of covers probably coming up, just naturally. You got a bunch.
I do have a couple. I can say I will be at New York Comic Con this year. I did get approved for that.
You might be the only one. So many people that I know did not get tables.
I know. I saw. I've been seeing that. And I'm like, I got the confirmation, and sorry about their luck, but I'm gonna be there.
Well, maybe everybody should become your new best friend.
Oh yeah. Then you get the phone calls. Hey, you want to split a table? No, man. I got a lot of shit.
Panel to New York Comic Con. I wonder, because I've been trying for years, and given the track record, it'll be like the year to do it. Like,
there you go.
So I'll get a free ticket, and then I'll crash your table. It'd be funny.
There we go. All right. Just apply now. Fill out that paperwork. What's the panel about? What are we doing?
Oh, I am an expert in gay comic creators, oddly enough. I am a very historical expert in that, and I have first primary sources that nobody else has on that topic. So,
all right, well,
because I've interviewed a bunch of them. That's why I've actually gathered primary sources on Howard Cruz and Trina Robbins, and very, very cool stuff.
Gotta get that application in. It can be cool, but if you ain't there to do it, no one else, you can't share the cool.
I know. I've been trying for years. It's a shame, but I digress.
I know it's rough to get in there, especially on that waiting list. I don't know how they judge panels. So yeah.
Honestly, I haven't been impressed with New York Comic Con for a few years, and I'm just like, I don't have to be there. I don't have to be there. I don't really want to be there. Honestly, I don't like going. I don't like going to cons. I have a life, and I would rather do an anime con than a Comic Con. I enjoy talking about certain topics, but beyond that, I mean, the topics that I enjoy talking about is comic book investing, and they don't want that shit at their con. Most cons don't want the shit that I want to talk about, because I'm an advocate for the base consumer. I really am. And but it's beneficial to everybody because an educated consumer is good for business. It always will be. It always will be. Somebody who is educated on CGC and comic book investing is good for the industry. It's good for business. But cons don't want it, and I'm like, cool. You guys can pay for it later on. You guys can pay for it later on because I don't really want to speak about that topic for free. I don't. When I can build somebody $100,000 eBay business, I don't really in legitimately a month. I don't really feel like speaking about it free anymore.
Yeah. No, of course.
And I'll speak about the Godfather of anime all day. I'll speak about gay comic creators all day for free, all day, because it's fun to talk about that stuff as a straight white male. It's a blast to talk about that stuff because I should not have any right to speak about that. And the fact that I've put in the work and done the research is such a fucking privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to do that. And I have the primary sources. So fuck it.
Well, shoot me a message if you get that panel approved.
Oh, it'll be blast. It'll be so much fun to do that. I will actually submit it. Maybe I'll submit it tomorrow if it's still open because I think it'd be so interesting. And who knows? Maybe I'll get it, and then I'll have to convince my boss to let me take off from work. But anyway, enough about that. I'm going to promote myself really quickly. Obviously, I am Pop Anime Comics on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Pop Anime Comics. Feel free to subscribe. I have a very cool interview with Sasha Nakamoto that just dropped on Monday. That interview will blow your mind. She is the future of pretty much hentai.com. So that should give everybody an idea of what we're talking about there. A lot of freaking cool stuff with her. Very cool relationship that was built that day. As well as I have an eBay store. Links down below. Check out my friend Preston's book. It's cool. Sign up for his email list. He's helping to support this show and making it happen. So go out and check that out. All that fun stuff. And yeah, pretty much anything associated with me is in the description down below. Anything associated with Chris is also there. I put your website there for people who want to check it out. So, and then I think from your website, they can get social media and a bunch of other stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. Honestly, the easiest place to get to me is Instagram or Facebook.
So
I'm very accessible.
There you have it. Pretty accessible and all that stuff. And that's everything that I got. And I'm going to give you the final word.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
Well, I couldn't have said that any better myself, everybody. And that is a wrap.